Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 54. I am your host, back with my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
I'm a year older now.
He is a year older than last time you heard his voice. It's true. 14 years old. Doesn't feel any different?
No.
Because people always ask that, right? But, I mean,
yeah,
really...
I think it's just like a, hey, it's your birthday.
I feel any older? It's just a thing you say. But really, you're only a day older, right? So it's not like the whole year piles up overnight on one day. But anyways, you are older and wiser, I guess. You had a pretty good birthday. I mean, it was kind of low-key.
Just I got stuff.
You did, and we'll talk about that's going to come up again.
And I plan to get more stuff.
In a future segment. Yes, you're very spoiled boy. But yeah, I had a few friends over for a swim, right? The weather was good. Swam for a bit, ate a whole bunch of food. Ridiculous cake, ridiculous like strawberries covered in chocolate.
Like chocolate-covered strawberries, Oreo-covered strawberries. It
was good stuff. But so a good time had by all. Then, I don't know, we're just doing summery stuff with some lifted restrictions, just people coming over. We actually traveled outside our house overnight, which we haven't done.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, one of your high school friends.
Went to one of my best friend from high school. Finally went out to his place, kind of in the middle of nowhere. They've got a nice little house they built out there.
I only don't like going there just because I hate the sitting in the car for long periods of time.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour drive, and we stop along the way. So it takes a bit to get there, but great to see some people I haven't seen. I don't do well not face-to-face. I don't have social media. I don't keep up with texting people very well, so I'm a face-to-face guy. So it was great to see my buddy and his family. Then we came back home, and we thought some other friends were stopping by on their way somewhere else, but they ended up canceling. So we had a bit of a lazier day yesterday, which I appreciated because, we haven't traveled overnight anywhere in a while. So it was tiring stuff.
Right.
And then some friends from down the street just came over for some swimming and whatnot.
Per the usual now, I guess.
Tends to happen a lot in the summer. So that was fun. And we're just enjoying a nice summer. The weather hasn't been super awesome here lately, but good enough to be outside.
It was raining.
Rained all day on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I remember because we went to I don't know if anyone else will know what these are, but those pit stop things where they have the gas station.
Rest
and
stop on the highway.
Rest stop, yeah. And I remember it was raining because I remember I was running in and whatever. I got combos.
Yes, you did get combos.
I like those.
I liked those as a kid too. Well, I still do. So it kind of threw off our wrestling viewing a little bit. We kind of...
Yeah, we didn't watch either of our usual shows live.
So we were gone Tuesday to Thursday, came home.
It's all good.
Frantically
No, it was Wednesday and Thursday.
Right.
Tuesday we were doing stuff because it was my birthday.
Right. And then just furiously caught up on everything, but
it's all good. We got it.
Yep, we got everything watched that we usually watch. So we're going to get ready to talk about it. I don't know. I figure I'm ready now. I don't know about you.
Get into the news.
Let's head into our first segment, which will be taking a look at some of this week's news and rumors. All right, so let's talk ratings because I like to talk ratings.
I actually have something related to ratings.
I even pulled Impact ratings just for the once in a while sort of check-in I like to do. So we'll start with NXT. Tuesday's edition was not live. It was taped. I don't know if that was the issue. It also changed networks, right?
Yeah,
they were on Sci-Fi.
I know they taped this one, and I'm not sure if they taped because they're on Sci-Fi for 2 weeks.
Right.
I forget why. So I think they taped both those. I know they taped this one because I knew stuff.
So it didn't go well. They drew 520,000 viewers on Sci-Fi, which is down 20.5% from the week before. They got a 0.12 in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic. That's down 40%. So unfortunately, it is the lowest viewership in the show's history. They switched networks to Sci-Fi, which doesn't help. Some people aren't up on that and don't follow it. Also, they were facing some pretty tough competition from the Olympics on that night, right? So there was
And I think, one thing is, the taping spoiled a couple of the major points in the show.
Yes, that doesn't help.
Right, it's you would want to tune in and see what happens, but you already kind of know what happens.
Sure, because there's a certain segment like you and most people, I'm not trying to say, that you get constant updates on things, right? So you're like,
I'm just
I know what happens.
Even if I'm just scrolling on Instagram and I'll see it. I just see tapings, but I kind of had to tap on it because that's what I do.
That's what you do, and I avoid all. It's kind of fun. I like it because you get updated on everything, and I get updated on very little.
I remember Money in the Bank. I was just I was trying not to get spoiled, but I just had the urge. I had to see it.
What was the one you were super excited about that I was gonna love that recently that you got spoiled on?
Diamond Mine.
Oh, that's right.
Because Tyler S.
But I thought there was something else too.
I
I can't. Anyways.
You're probably right, but that's the one I'm thinking.
Wednesday's live Fight for the Fallen edition of AEW Dynamite drew 1.108 million viewers on TNT, so down 3.5%, but that's still over a million. They're going to be very happy about that. Yeah. They drew a 0.45 rating in the key demographic, which is actually up 2.3%. So that's the fourth most viewers in AEW history.
That was what I was going to say.
The third best of this year.
Yeah.
So I think I saw something from Tony Khan thanking fans too, because they've been the number one show on Wednesday night, I think 3 weeks in a row now. Yeah, so what I was going to say
is that Fight for Fallen was the fourth most viewers in the show's history. So
yes.
Pretty good for them.
Awesome. And then since we do check in occasionally, I came across Thursday's edition of Impact ratings, so I thought I'd throw those in just to compare.
I missed it. I was going to watch Jay White.
So they did 113,000 viewers on Access TV, which is
good.
It's up 8.7 for them.
That's all Jay White, baby.
And a 0.02, huge difference there, rating in the key demographic. So again,
that's all Jay White.
It's up a little bit, and 113 doesn't sound like much, but I think for Impact, that's actually okay, right? We have to consider that they're not on a major channel, they're not as big a company, etc.
I think all those new viewers know it's there, the Switchblade.
It could be. What do you have?
I have another viewership-related thingy-majiggy.
Nice.
So WWE's pay-per-view viewerships have been up since moving to Peacock. So speaking during yesterday's Q2 quarter 2 2021, the financial earnings or whatever.
Yes.
Nick Khan, I think it is.
That's right.
He revealed like the percentages that like that Backlash, Hell in a Cell, and Money in the Bank were up. So WrestleMania Backlash is up 26%. I think it's from the previous year's figures.
Mm-hmm.
Hell in a Cell is up 25%, and Money in the Bank is up 46%. I don't really know what this means, but cool.
It's a contrast to the TV ratings, right? Which
sorry, I meant to say WrestleMania Backlash each time.
So the TV ratings seem to go down. The Peacock ratings, it could be because a whole bunch of new people kind of have the network, because I think if you have the Peacock, whatever, we don't really need it in Canada. We're still using the WWE app up here. We don't have the Peacock.
Or like the
WWE's not on Peacock here, or we don't have access to Peacock.
It was a US only thing, right?
But so maybe they're just picking up some extra viewers, because I think if you have the Peacock app, you get the WWE. So
right, and I heard like that, but I also heard there's issues too, and I even said. My friend even told me like my
there's
Xbox
lots of
friend he's in the US.
States,
He even told me like, because I thought he had like watched the opener or whatever, and like his thing had crashed or whatever.
Yes, there was some issues with that. There's also some, apparently it's poorly organized compared to the WWE. Like we had issues with the WWE app, but by the end it was pretty good. And so
like for the pay-per-views, the live pay-per-views, that's not really, because we have like the cable channel for it, right? So that's pretty easy.
And there was something about like to watch things, you need, they're organizing it by season, whatever. So if you want to go watch like WrestleMania 24, you have to know what season, you know what I mean?
Oh, and right, because that's like,
it's like
Peacock's,
TVs.
Yeah. That's weird.
And then apparently the feature of like, because we still have the WWE app, so anything we open, we can just go to a match, right? There's a quick jump to a certain match. Apparently that's gone. So you've got to like scrub through to look for what you. But anyways.
Imagine WrestleMania 35 and like the episodes of WrestleMania, it's like 7 hours or whatever.
And you've got to find it. So my next bit of news, there's a couple related. So it's this Domino's Pizza thing that's happening.
Yeah.
So apparently Domino's Pizza is angry that one of their ads was placed during the Nick Gage Jericho Death Match. So unfortunately, at one point in the match, it's a bit of a spoiler for our later review, but that's okay.
Well, actually, a lot of points in the match.
Yes, at certain points, but at one specific point, Gage was using a pizza slicer on Jericho's forehead, and at the exact same time, apparently, AEW ran a picture-in-picture ad for Domino's that started with somebody cutting a pizza with a pizza slicer.
That's so funny.
So Domino's issue outside of the unfortunate timing seems to be that they are sponsoring a TV 14 rated program, and I think they feel that this content is questionable within that rating, right? And they are, quote, assessing their advertising presence on AEW going forward.
Good for you, Domino's.
Honestly, my thoughts on this, even if Domino's pulls their ads going forward, let's say like they're done sponsoring Dynamite, I have a feeling this is like a net positive for AEW, as this story like is getting a ton of attention, right? And it's going to further their brand as like the edgy alternative to WWE, right?
Right,
like
WWE ain't doing that.
Right. So I would suggest they can easily replace the ad spots from Domino's with somebody else, and they're getting
Who's willing to like deal with that,
and
right?
they're getting tons of free promotion from the incident. It's all over the internet right now, right? It's and I've got another story related to it coming up. So I feel like they're making up for any loss in sort of publicity they're getting.
Right.
So related to that, there is now speculation, and some of it coming from Meltzer, that WWE played a role in the sponsors being contacted about that match.
Sabotage.
Right. So according to Meltzer, Domino's is a major sponsor of TNT and Warner Media programming. It's a serious issue. There was a concerted campaign to contact sponsors, but at press time, Domino's was the only one that has reacted. So basically, it sounds like WWE was calling AEW sponsors to try and say, hey, do you know that they're showing this bloody, awful match during your sponsorship, to try and generate some outrage over the match, and only Domino's really has responded. So if that's true, man... I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but that's a petty move by WWE, right? And what it also tells me, I think, is they are keenly aware of the strong TV ratings and amazing ticket sales that AEW is getting, right?
And just like how popular they are, right?
Because WWE's thing used to be, we're so big, we won't even acknowledge your existence, right? And that's
like
kind
impact, like all the time.
That's kind of the power move, is like, you're insignificant, we're number one, we don't need to acknowledge you. But now they do.
They can be all like this inside, but like, I think they should, like, wouldn't it be better to save face and be just not acknowledge them?
Well, and I think it's short-sighted, because I think this is honestly is going to help AEW. I don't think this hurts them at all.
Yeah, and it's like...
It makes WWE look like whiny babies, and they're giving AEW...
And it shows they're actually worried about this.
They are, that's what I'm saying. So I think still ultimately backfire. AEW is getting tons of coverage. People are going to sort of love... There's a certain segment that are going to love that AEW has bloody, violent matches on TV. Sponsors pull out, it's so bad, right? Like, that's going to attract certain audience. So to be honest, I'm a little surprised WWE
like
didn't
the same
think...
people who like ECW.
Right. I'm surprised WWE didn't think this through a little more. I think free publicity they're getting, AEW, is... and sort of like being the more progressive company, right? They're more pushing the boundaries, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, and I see this as the kind of thing coming from the mind of Vince. Like, he's just like, he's doing anything. He's
Call
like,
their sponsors.
Quick, do this, and not even like thinking it through. I could see that, like, not thinking it through as a
But again,
he does a lot.
To me, that shows that they're a bit worried about AEW, that they're quickly reacting to stuff that they're doing. They're
just
clearly
doing it, like, trying to do something.
Clearly paying close attention to them and reacting to them, right?
So they've got someone watching AEW.
So I think that this will outweigh the loss of one sponsor, if that's... Like, Domino's hasn't even officially pulled out yet. They're just contemplating it. So I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing for AEW.
Right. They're not even for sure losing a sponsor, no. Even if they do.
And like, tons of publicity across the internet right now.
Right.
What do you have?
So Sasha Banks returned on SmackDown to save Bianca Belair from a beating at the hands of Carmella and Zelina Vega.
And then Dakota Kai'd it.
Huh?
And then Dakota Kai'd it.
And then they teamed with... Spoiler.
Sorry.
They teamed together to defeat the heels. And, of course, Sasha Banks turned on Belair and will be set up as her SummerSlam challenger. That's good, because their Mania match is good, but...
And I prefer heel Sasha,
better.
Too, so
yeah.
that's okay. Yeah, that will probably be a pretty good match.
Face Sasha was really good, but that was, like... Once upon a time.
Yes, she's good in any role, but I kind of like she's Kevin Owens for me. She's good as anything, but I prefer
I want heel Kevin Owens again.
Me too. The next thing I had back for AEW, the pre-sale for AEW First Dance, which is what the second episode of Rampage has already sold over 10,000 tickets.
We'll talk about that more later.
Reported by our boy John Pollock over at Post Wrestling. So yeah, we will get into it more later, but without sort of saying things, there's basically no card for it, no match announced, only like a possible return of somebody from the past. So Pollock said in this...
If you know, you know.
Right, and we'll get to it in Dynamite, but as John Pollock said, like 4 words by Darby Allin proved very effective, right? So over 10,000 tickets sold for a show with nothing announced for it. So that's a pretty big deal.
Implied.
And again, this is some of the stuff that's probably worrying Vince McMahon, right? And why he feels they need to start sort of trying to take AEW down. I don't know. So that's
because they're doing something, like, without getting into specifics, they're doing something, or like they're about to do something that Vince is probably, or like that's been that WWE's tried to do for years.
It seems that way for sure.
Right?
Anything else you have? I only have one more, just to let you know.
Some more NXT stars working dark matches before last night's SmackDown.
I don't think I heard this. I'm crossing my fingers. It's no one I love.
They brought Austin Theory, Odyssey Jones, Aaliyah, and Indy Hartwell to TV, and they were facing each other in matches. Aaliyah went over Indy, which I think is kind of odd, and Jones went over Theory, which I think I would say is bad, but I think he made the point one time, like, that means they're more interested in Aaliyah and Jones.
And leave Theory alone.
I am enjoying Theory.
Me too.
Lately, especially from an in-ring standpoint. So, I'm fine with this.
It's interesting some of the women they're targeting, because they're kind of leaving what I feel are the stronger ones and taking some of the weaker ones.
Dakota, Candice.
Right. They're all staying, and it's the ones that I'm like...
they left Ember Moon there, and they took Shotzi. They took Aaliyah. And Tony Storm, like, you're really taking out the trash.
They're really doing us favors, so keep it up.
I agree. Yeah,
leave everybody we love in NXT and take the rest. Fine by us.
Karrion Kross. I keep saying it. They're starting to do it.
The last thing I have is more All Elite Wrestling and sort of them establishing themselves as a major player. They have agreed to a multi-year exclusive trading card and memorabilia deal with Upper Deck. I know you don't know Upper Deck, but I was a card kid.
I also got that.
I was a card kid back in the day, so I collected baseball cards mostly, but all kinds of sports cards.
So I know the major one is Topps.
And Upper Deck is a major. They kind of came out when I was, I think, a teenager, and the cards were nicer, they were glossier, they had a picture on the front and the back, I remember. So Upper Deck's a major company, so that's a good sign for the longevity of AEW, right? This is further solidifying AEW. They're just a big-time wrestling promotion now.
Right,
and
awesome.
They've
made, like within their first year, they made a ton of wrestling figures already. Like, they jumped on, like, the wrestling figures, I would say, pretty quick. They got, like more so 6 waves of the main line. They just put out a first line of their second series.
Right.
A bunch of exclusive
And these aren't things you're doing if you're not confident you're going to be around for a long time.
Right. But
like, this isn't something you do if you're like, well, I hope we make it through a couple more years, right? This is like, we're good. We can just run with this. So that's great news for us because we really love the product.
I'll maybe check them out if I ever see them. Like, because they've got the WWE cards. I assume these will be at Walmart, most likely.
I think Upper Deck is at Walmart for us up here,
Yeah, and I don't know. I could see there being a chance, like, you know, in like the checkout aisle in Toys R Us.
At the impulse buy spot.
At Toys R Us. Toys R Us.
Any other news for you? I'm done.
John Cena versus Reigns is official, basically.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this. I know why they're doing it. Cena's a draw, I guess.
Yeah, it's smart for their business. It's not smart for me as a fan.
I don't want Cena in the main event. He's obviously not going to win. He has a movie coming up, but I hope he's still got something left in the tank. You know what I mean? Because, like, he had good matches with AJ Styles, and that wasn't too long ago, right? So I don't want this to just be kind of
It's interesting from the perspective, it's Super Cena versus the new Super Cena, right? Like, Reigns is basically, to me, that I know he's heel and whatever, but that same, like, kind of untouchable isn't going to lose a whole lot, so it's kind of interesting. Obviously, I would assume Reigns has to go over as he's the one that's
current
there.
And Cena's going to the movie.
It could be, like, say what you will about Cena. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm also not a hater, as a lot of people are. The man carried that company, and he had some really good matches. He's capable in the ring, right? So we'll see. And
so I compared, like, saying the Styles matches, but that was also, and I'll mention it later in any other wrestling business.
Yeah.
But, like, that was, I feel like main roster matches, just the quality has dropped.
It's tough because we now have something to compare it to. We have an alternative on Dynamite where we're like, there's a couple matches every week where we're like, damn. I'm even
making the comparison from, like,
their own
now
stuff
to, like, even just a few years ago.
Case in point, the Rewind match we're going to get to later, right?
Exactly. That honestly got me really thinking about that.
So that was, 5 years ago? And it was quite different, I would suggest.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more. I do have a lot to say on that matter.
Do you have any other news?
Yeah, we got a bit more.
Go ahead.
I think. Or do I? Yeah. I think I have one more.
Sure.
AEW apparently did inform TNT in advance about the Jericho and Gage match.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That's good.
Yes, they're letting them know, hey, this is going to be a little bit more than what we usually do. Are you okay with it, sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a, like, classy thing to do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for news for you?
Yeah.
And for me. So that'll send us into talking in depth about the first show we do every week, and that will be our weekly NXT review. So NXT starts with a recap of the Karrion Kross Samoa Joe situation from last week, where Kross basically attacked William Regal and then escaped in his car as Samoa Joe was just a little bit too late chasing him out of the arena. Commentary then run down some of the show for tonight, including Raquel Gonzalez addressing the NXT universe, and Adam Cole versus Bronson Reed will be our main event. But before that, we're going to start off with Oney Lorcan and Pete Dunne versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. So Thatcher and Ciampa, basically to set this match up, have taken exception to Pete Dunne constantly saying that he is the toughest man, and also recently started saying the best technician in NXT.
I think he was saying that for a while, and remember that set up his Kushida match at TakeOver?
Right. So Thatcher and Ciampa have issued a challenge, and here we are. I'm sort of personally hoping going into this that Pete Dunne's relationship with Lorcan ends so that he can go out on his own, right? That would be my dream.
That is not what happened.
We'll see if that's what happens or not. So I think what they're trying to say here is that Thatcher is a better technician than Dunne, and that Ciampa is tougher than Dunne, and that they kind of both have an issue with him, and that's where we are. It felt like that's where
that makes sense.
Commentary were kind of leading us with this, that like one takes exception with the technician part and one takes exception to the tough guy part. So we'll see. So this starts out with holds and counters between Dunne and Thatcher, as they're both trying to prove, right, who the best technician is here, I guess. And it's pretty much a stalemate. And then Ciampa and Lorcan both tag in. So Ciampa and Thatcher end up isolating Lorcan for a while before finally just allowing him to tag Pete Dunne. And then Dunne and Ciampa finally pick up the pace, I thought, a little bit, and Dunne hits a running clothesline. There's those stereo clubbing blows from above that Thatcher and Ciampa are now doing as sort of their tag team offense. Dunne and Lorcan get sent into the barricades as Thatcher and Ciampa take a moment to pose, sort of sitting on the announce table on the outside at one point. Then Ciampa does his forever clothesline or infinite clothesline spot to both of the opponents.
Enjoy very much.
And then it ended this time with a double clothesline. Yeah, I mean, the speed and everything and stamina is impressive. It's just clotheslines. I don't know. That's not my favorite. He's done the
double clothesline before, I think.
Yeah. So we get a strike exchange, a German suplex, and some hand stomps by Dunne to Tommaso Ciampa. Then Thatcher ends up on the outside trying to go after Oney Lorcan. Thatcher then gets taken out by a surprise returning Ridge Holland. Yay. The crowd goes mild, as they say. Inside the ring, after this is happening, Lorcan sort of saves Pete Dunne from a near fall, but then he gets thrown out of the ring to follow. So Dunne ends up hitting his bitter end to Tommaso Ciampa and picking up the win for his team. After the match, Lorcan and Dunne sort of are holding Ciampa as Holland slams Thatcher into the ropes a couple times, sort of making Ciampa watch him do it, and then he headsbutts Ciampa to sort of end this.
Devastating attack.
So what were your thoughts on this opening match?
So I thought it was good. It's your ideal TV opener, but I think it fell on my maybe slightly high expectations, because I guess in my mind I was already comparing it to Dunne and Lorcan versus The Way.
It's funny, the word under-delivered appears in my analysis as well of this match.
Right, just like...
Feels like what you're saying.
It was good, but like, I think I expected more, and maybe my expectations were too high as well.
And then...
and I just had it compared to this match that I love.
Yeah, and then also, like, there's a surprise return in it, but...
It's Ridge Holland.
Right.
Which I already knew, because tapings.
And as you pointed out, thankfully, because it didn't really make sense, is Lorcan's the one that injured him, right?
Right. Him returning is interesting, I guess, if I'm finding a positive. Not really interesting. I'm kind of lying
I wish
it
were more interesting. It's not.
I guess I'm fine with him back if he's got a new look and theme, because if he doesn't, I'm going to not care about him so quick. But the main issue is that he assisted Lorcan and Dunne when Lorcan was the cause of his injury, inadvertent or not.
Right, he caught Lorcan, and that's when things exploded, right? I think, coming over the ropes.
It really does not make sense to me. Like,
yeah.
Did Lorcan be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," or like?
I know.
I don't know.
For me, I was hoping, like I said, coming in, right, that Pete Dunne's going to break free from this and go out on his own, but instead,
and now they've added Ridge Holland.
So not only did I not get that, I kind of get the opposite, where he's added one more person,
it's Ridge Holland.
And it's Ridge Holland. So I thought the match really under-delivered. I thought the majority of this was worked at a pretty slow pace for the people involved. It kind of heated up near the end, but it was still a lot of like strike exchanges and running clotheslines, right? And I think these four are capable of a lot better match than this.
Yeah.
I don't think it was bad, but I didn't really love it. And I think what you're saying, right, is I had higher expectations. So not a great opener in my opinion. We then get a very brief sort of a segment here with Carmelo Hayes getting to talk. So he talks about stepping up already because in NXT he's had 2 matches already, right? He's faced Kushida and Adam Cole. So he talks about stepping up, taking those opportunities. And then he says only one man will come out on top of this tournament, and we are looking at him. What did you think of his brief little segment here?
I thought it was a good promo from him, and he's got good confidence. And like, if you haven't seen him before, you can clearly get like the general concept of his character.
Yeah.
Right. So that I think that's good. And he's probably one of the guys in the tournament who didn't need a package, but I appreciate he still got one.
Right.
And I do like him, so yeah, I liked it.
I have him as my kind of favorite to win coming into it. Really short promo, but he has really good confidence and charisma, right? So this was fine. I have high hopes for him just in general, even beyond this tournament. I thought this was a generic promo, and I'll talk a bit more about these promos later. I thought he delivered it really well, but they didn't really give him a lot to say, right? But his delivery and energy and stuff are really good, so I'm still very optimistic. We're then shown that Samoa Joe has arrived, and we're going to hear from him after the commercial break. No, we're not. Come on, don't lie. Because there's going to be something else in between. And there is. Hit Row are basically making fun of Legado, and they're saying that it's going to be a Hit Row summer. They take turns speaking, other than Swerve, right? I think he was silent for this one.
No.
Or did he have a tiny bit?
He just didn't talk as much as some of the other ones.
Right, and they mention Imperium talking spicy about them as well, sort of lining up opponents for them, I guess. They have kind of issues with a lot of tag teams in the division. What did you think? I have trouble recapping it in detail because it's a lot of like, they're almost like, it's almost like a rap every time they take turns doing a verse of the rap, right? And I will not do that any justice, so I very much summarize it. But what did you think of the segment?
I thought it was solid promo work from all of them, reminding us of last week. And it's also just a way to like say, we have a match later tonight.
That's right. Yeah. I thought it was good too, and I thought Swerve staying mostly silent while the rest of them do the talking for him is fine as well. And I liked the use of 2 languages, right? Because Top Dollar was not in English for this whole thing, right? So I thought that was kind of cool. And they're just a cool group. Every segment they have.
B-Fab was also speaking.
She was as well. I think you're right. So I still, they kind of demand my attention when they're on the screen, right? So that's a pretty high compliment. I'm still interested in everything they're doing at this point.
Right.
So Samoa Joe does come out to the ring. He sets up a chair and a table, and he has some sort of NXT official document that he places down on the table as well.
Ooh, yeah, I wonder what
Foreshadow.
It is.
He says he knows Cross is too much of a gutless coward to appear in the building, so he has decided to be proactive. He's going to skip talking to Cross, and he asks that Regal come down to the ring instead. Regal does come down, and he's looking pretty upset, doing a good job of it. Mm-hmm. And Joe says that he can see the rage in Regal's eyes, and he understands. He understands what Regal has to do tonight, and that basically he's here to probably going to fire Karrion Kross, right? For a brutally
Regal like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Brutally attacking the general manager. That seems understandable. But Joe tells Regal that he has a much better solution, a way to satisfy their needs in 3 easy steps. Step 1, Joe resigns from NXT management effective immediately. He didn't really clearly mention it, but I believe step 2, he just forgot to throw that in front of it, is that he joins the active NXT roster.
No, he mentioned it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was adding it in there for him. So Regal agrees and signs this contract that was the official document, and the crowd is going nuts here because we're all kind of getting what we wanted and thought that maybe we couldn't get. But then Joe moves on to step 3, where he says Regal will make Joe versus Kross for the NXT Championship at TakeOver 36.
Which, I mean, I like that, but it's like kind of like, hey, I know you want to get back at this guy, so give me a title match.
So instead of just firing him, let me beat the hell out of him and take his title.
I feel like it's also kind of cheeky. It's like, hey, I can give you what you want, quote unquote, and you give me a title shot, kind of.
For sure. It's benefiting him too. So the crowd's chanting for Joe. Regal signs the document. The crowd then starts chanting, "Thank you, Regal," and it looks like we have a takeover. I would assume the main event. Right. Joe leaves the ring, and Regal sort of watches him go. What did you think of this?
I like this. It got us where we needed to be. Joe can wrestle now. He's gonna face Kross at takeover. Right? Yep. That's where we need to go, and that's where we are now.
Yep.
I thought Joe and Regal both did good. With Regal doing a good job of acting angry, and Joe like doing a good job like being like, hey, I know you're angry, like, kind of chill out.
Hear me out. Just, I got an idea.
Him to propose his idea. I think Regal's been pretty good, like, acting lately.
For sure
I think he's kind of underrated. Like, he's great. He's been doing really good acting, like, whether it's like calming down Joe or like looking angry, and like his facial expressions have been good. So I think he's been doing good lately. I think he deserves some praise for sure. And even like back to when like you thought he was gonna leave when Joe returned, actually, like even that. I'm really happy that Joe is and can return in ring.
Me too.
It should be great with all the potential matches with this roster.
I think Regal's like one of my favorite GMs ever because he's had a really long run as a babyface GM, which is hard to do. And he's good.
He's not intrusive.
No, he's involved the perfect amount.
Especially because most of his run NXT is developmental, so that kind of helps. But like even
I think he's great
with the switch to TV. He's been really good, and to the point where like I actually didn't want him to go.
No, me
like
either.
I really like him in his role. I think it's a great role for him.
I agree. This match obviously seemed inevitable, but I still think this segment was really well executed. Joe and Regal, like you're saying, it was
kind of predictable, but like unlike another segment on the show, it was like good because like I feel like you kind of needed to get here, and so they did a good job with that. Even though you could see it coming, it was still good.
Right. By wrestling standards, both of these guys can act, and they did a really good job. I don't think it was too long, which that would be the one danger, was it just they dragged this out too long. They got the point across. Regal didn't really have to say anything, right? Which I thought was a cool touch too. I mean, I'm looking forward to this, but the match has lost a bit of shine just due to Cross's booking and treatment on Raw. And even, like I always say, what other wrestlers are saying in promos about him on NXT. And I'm kind of looking past the Cross-Joe match, if I'm being honest, right? Because basically in my mind, I'm like, okay, Joe is cleared to wrestle, so this opens up a ton more matches that I'm more interested in.
Joe Cole, Joe O'Reilly, like there's 3 right off the bat.
So while I'm happy that this match is happening, it's more like...
It's because I feel like it's going to be Joe takes it from Cross is gone, Joe can wrestle other people.
I'm not even convinced Joe wins, but I'm happy.
I think he's going to win.
I
think
hope
Cross
so,
has
but
to go.
I'm not convinced. I'm happy this match will happen, but it's almost like more so because of what it symbolizes, that yes, Joe's here to wrestle.
Right.
And that's exciting to me.
Right. And I feel like Cross has to go, because like I don't think he can do the Raw and NXT thing for that long.
I don't think so either.
Because I remember Garza was doing that for a bit.
So Joe taking the title would be my ideal, but I'm not convinced.
I feel like that's kind of what has to happen.
I hope so. We then get Josh Briggs, who's going to be facing Carmelo Hayes in the breakout match. He gets his chance to say some stuff ahead of that match, and he says that Carmelo Hayes is standing in the way of his destiny. He breaks bodies and he breaks dreams, and his hand will be raised as the winner of the tournament. Super basic stuff, I thought. What did you think?
It was just a straightforward promo, and I thought it was decent. It establishes him as just like a serious kind of big brawler type guy. Which is good. He looks good, so he and Hayes could have a good match, hopefully.
Yeah, he's put on some weight for sure. He's a lot thicker than when I remember seeing him in Evolve. I thought this was really generic and short. This is just basically him going, I'm gonna win. And again, we're not getting any real information about the character or either of the men in tonight's match. All I really know about anyone in this tournament is that they want to win, and sometimes where they're from. And that's pretty much it. I think Ikemen Jiro, who's already out, was the only one with some sort of character and gimmick so far, right?
I feel like they did a better job explaining people. Like, Swerve had, like, the Swerve is confidence thing.
Yes.
And, like...
So I just think that these vignettes have been what I wanted, but they've missed the opportunity to really tell me anything about the competitor. Because it's just like, hey, I want to win, and I'm going to win. And it's like, okay, but like, give me something else to latch onto to connect with.
Right.
So I think they're trying, but they're missing opportunities for me. So I didn't love it. I mean, it was super generic promo. It was fine.
I think his delivery was fine.
Yep. So we get our first look at Grimes and LA Knight in, I think, a first of 3 segments tonight. They're out on the golf course this week. So Grimes is talking very loudly about washing LA Knight's balls in the ball washer as we start. Grimes has basically
a bit of a try at child's humor.
Yeah. The idea here is that Grimes has no idea how to behave on a golf course, right? Where there's certain etiquette and rules you're expected to follow. So he's violating etiquette, talking in LA Knight's backswing, which is a big no-no. So Knight then hits a bad shot, and he makes Grimes go and get it, and that's pretty much it for the first segment. What did you think?
I thought it was kind of amusing for a short little segment. I liked it. I enjoyed it more than the other ones that we got, like, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Given its open ending and short run time, I take that there will be 2 more later in the show.
That's what I said,
there
too.
was.
Yep.
It's pretty obvious.
Rule of
it
threes.
was fine.
I didn't love this. I thought they both looked kind of stupid here. Like, Obviously, Grimes is playing up like I don't know how to behave on a golf course, which is fine. And also, it bugs me all night, so I'll probably mention it a few times. I apologize. There is no acknowledgement of the dark turn last week, right? I thought this storyline took a turn where Grimes was forced to assault Drake Maverick. I kind of
felt towards the end that, like, that's just not...
It felt to me like Knight finally realized, this guy, I'm trying to humiliate him, and I can't, and I keep looking stupid, so it's got to take a turn where...
But then he's, like, doing this thing where, like, Grimes can make him look stupid again.
So it's almost like that dark bit, which I liked and thought that was a new path we were taking, is gone. It never happened, and we're back to just silliness, right? So I like the idea of Grimes breaking etiquette on a golf course, but I think they could have done better than this. But then again, as you were saying, I imagine we're coming back to this. So it's just that it's a real stark departure from the darkness of last week to now. It's like we're back to being silly, like light comedy stuff. But anyways, so we do get our breakout first round match here, which is Carmelo Hayes versus Josh Briggs. And we are told that the winner will fake Duke Hudson, right? So we've seen Hayes. I think he's had a couple impressive matches in NXT already in the cruiserweight division, right? And then we have Briggs, who's a big man that I've seen a few times. I know you've seen at least once in Evolve. And he was
on 205 Live.
And he was the Evolve champion too, I believe, Briggs, at one point.
Sure.
So, anyways, this starts out with Hayes kind of using his quickness to stay out of the grasp of the much larger Josh Briggs early on. Hayes then goes to attacking Briggs' leg as his strategy to sort of cut down the big man, but he eventually gets backdropped over the ropes to the floor. We then get a springboard leg drop a bit later by Hayes. Briggs escapes a guillotine that Hayes was in and flattens him with a back elbow. Duke Hudson then joins commentary after commercial. He's just kind of magically there. I don't know if he had anything interesting to say. I didn't really make a note, so it couldn't have been that great. Anything. Sidewalk slam and a splash by Briggs. Hayes flips out of a choke slam, hits a lung blower. We get a running pump kick by Hayes, but a big boot and a huge choke slam by Briggs. Hayes counters Briggs with 2 takedowns, sort of like, I think they were like shoulder breaker, like arm straight to the mat, whatever you call that. The divorce court, I think it's called. And then he heads up top, and he hits a top rope axe kick that I don't think you were a huge fan of, but Carmelo Hayes does use it to pick up the win against Josh Briggs and advance in the tournament to face Duke Hudson. What'd you think?
I thought it was a decent TV match, probably the best of these tournament ones so far.
Yeah, it could have been.
I think so far it's been a letdown.
Yeah, I would agree.
Hayes' finisher was okay as far as finishers go, but at least you could tell it was something. Like, he set up for it, like, he was going for it. Whereas I feel like last time, they finished on, like, similar, like, not super finisher moves, right, but, like, they just kind of, like, Duke Hudson won. Oh my, Boss Man Slam. Oh, it's over.
Right.
Odyssey Jones won, like, he does the slam thingy. Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, this one at least you could kind of see it was coming, but, like, still, I'm not loving the finishing.
This feels like maybe the one they'll settle on, or maybe he's one of those guys that wins differently all the time, but that hasn't been talked about.
I thought both of them had some good moves and some spots where they sold pretty well, so.
Yep. I thought Hayes looked pretty good here again. Briggs didn't do much for me. He had a few cool-looking power moves, but I agree, these tournament matches, I haven't been super impressed with any of them. I still have Hayes as my favorite to win. I think he's really good, so I'm happy with the outcome for this match. But I thought this was just okay, right? And I think pretty much every single one of the breakout matches so far, I've been like, it's okay. Like, I thought Harlem Bravado, whatever his new name is, I thought he looked good in a loss last week,
Andre
but
Chase.
I haven't been super impressed with anything. Anyways, we get footage from last week, which was sort of off of TV, of Frankie being asked by Mackenzie about her relationship with the Robert Stone brand, because everyone cares so much.
That's the hot topic right now.
She teases a ton of options, including taking the team over herself and teaming with Jesse to go to the tag titles. And then Casey Catanzaro...
Sizzling options, right? Am I right, guys?
And Caden Carter interrupt to tell them to sort of get back at the line. We're already an established tag team, and we can finish each other's sentences, which I thought was super lame. It made me cringe a little bit. So they leave. Frankie says that she thinks their spunk is cute, but now, or she thought it was, but now it's just super annoying.
And
so
Kamea and Robert Stone both repeat that line.
Explain this to me, please. Go ahead.
Boring, don't care. Karin Kanzaro sucked. Also, I don't care.
But explain to me what's going on, because I want to understand. Is Stone still involved, obviously? Yeah. So he got attacked by Aaliyah. Aaliyah left. Mandy Rose showed up. It looked like Monet was pulling people away from Robert Stone, but now she's part of
Maybe he's trying to take...
So why just show us this somewhere.
So, I think that is what Monet's doing, but then he's trying to, like,
avoid
that.
So eventually you think it's Monet breaks away? Whereas I thought that
I don't really care. Like, it's really hard for me to speculate when I don't care.
I thought that already happened. Anyways.
I almost miss... I'm gonna say it, because, like...
Say it.
So, they were kind of cringy, but I almost miss Shotzi, like, because, like, it was, like... It was like,
my God,
it was so bad. It was like fun to bag on, you know. Right. Like it's not even super. They weren't even super bad. I wanted to be
cutting that little clip out of context where you say I want Shotzi back, and I'm just gonna.
I don't want her back. I just miss I just want something that's so bad I can just bag on it.
So
all the time.
As you can tell, I'm confused by the handling of Frankie Monet so far. So she's at the very bottom of the card, it seems, and I'm not enjoying what she's doing. I don't know. Maybe this was fine. Maybe I'm just not very smart, and this has all been clearly laid out. But the problem is, I don't know.
I think I know why. It's 'cause who cares?
That's part of it. I think it's a little bit confusing, and I'm not interested enough.
It's so down in the card that I can't be bothered to possibly.
And I feel like it's been this lingering thing with a lot of moving parts, and I still don't know what's going on, and I don't care enough to really look into it.
Right. This brought back Mandy Rose. No thanks. No.
So Raquel Gonzalez will address the women's division next, but no, she won't because it's WWE. Actually, maybe wrestling because AEW does it a bit too.
They're not as bad.
Next, but not next.
It's a WWE trope that's kind of
catching on. It's all of wrestling. It's contagious.
It's
a pandemic of people misunderstanding what next means. But we're back on the golf course with Grimes and LA Knight again. So Grimes is sort of narrating Knight's every move as though he's like a golf commentator.
Does LA stand for Luther Alexander?
I don't know.
Luther Adam?
I don't know. So this annoys LA Knight, obviously, and it causes him to hit a ball into the water. There have bets going on that I didn't quite understand or follow.
I think Grimes is like, remember he was like, I bet you're going to hit it in the trees, and then he does.
Now it's like, I bet you're going to hit it in the water, and he does?
Right.
So yeah,
because they're both rich boys, so they're like betting... Yeah. 5K per thing. So
Knight loses another bet, but he ends up sending Grimes to go get the ball. So Grimes takes off his cowboy boots, wades into the water, finds the ball, and DiBiase drives up in a golf cart. He's giving Grimes this advice and telling him that he's better than this. He tells Grimes he was born to be a champion, is a fighter, and he needs to fight for what he believes in. Basically, he then drives away, and you can see that Grimes is left to sort of contemplate all of this advice from... I don't know, his mentor, whatever. Again, you talk about it first. Go ahead, explain it to me. Talk to me.
This one, I thought it was also decent, because it kind of does sow the seeds for Grimes getting out of this and sticking up to Knight. And maybe, like, he'll try to keep a good attitude about it, I guess, for now.
I guess.
I really do hope they go back to the thing from last week, because I think that's really cool.
I did, too, and now it's like it didn't happen.
And maybe, like, Grimes has to keep building up his mental strength till he can, like, overcome, like...
Yeah.
This is not... It was okay.
I didn't like this. It's not much different from the first segment. They just added what I thought was kind of an awkward arrival of DiBiase saying all of these things. Because he was involved in it in the beginning, and then he's been gone. Why has he waited so many weeks to suddenly get to Grimes and offer him all this advice, right? It's not funny, it's not touching, it's not anything. It's just kind of silly and forgettable for me, which is, I think, beneath all of the performers here. Like, I'm a huge fan of LA Knight in ring, but I think promo-wise, character-wise, he's solid, and Grimes is amazing, and DiBiase's good, but this is just, like, kind of there for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
We then get a replay of Holland's return because that was a big deal from earlier, and his kind of shocking alliance with Dunn and Lorcan. He's asked about the attack as he leaves the building, and Ridge Holland says that they aren't the first people he's smashed up, and they won't be the last, and that's all he said. So I don't know how many thoughts you have on it. I said short and to the point.
Fine, but just a generic line, I guess.
100%. Like, I think, again, he's probably not a strong promo. They're trying to limit what he says. Good idea, right?
I don't think he's strong anything other than a strong person.
Yeah, maybe. So Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez come to the ring, and Dakota Kai was introduced first, which I thought was an interesting little note, but anyways, really meant nothing. I just thought it was interesting. So Raquel gets a mic, says last week she crushed one of the most feared superstars in the women's division, okay, in Xia Li, and has dominated every single woman who's stepped up. She asked who's next and slips into Spanish for a little bit here, and all she has to say is keep 'em coming. Kyle takes over on the mic. She says she's been unstoppable since the debut, and she tells people her friend is the most dominant woman in NXT history, more dominant than Charlotte Flair, Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley, Io, and everyone else. She says the list will go on and says the NXT women's division is one of the greatest because of one woman. NXT TakeOver is 4 weeks ago, and asks who is woman enough to challenge Raquel. She talks a bunch of trash about who has the guts to come face Raquel.
It really does drag on. It's just
yeah, a little bit.
You're
kind of there's no real agenda for them here. I wonder what's happening.
It just kept being Gonzalez is beating everybody. There's no one left to challenge her. Who's tough enough to challenge her? Blah blah.
And nobody's coming out because there's nobody left.
Right.
So Kai says that they've been through so much together, and
you
as long as
you could throw Zoe Stark at her.
Yeah,
I guess she's in a tag.
She's a tag champ now.
So.
As long as Dakota has Raquel's back, Raquel will always be champion. And then, funny enough, Raquel starts to celebrate. She turns her back to Dakota Kai as she's kind of climbing up the turnbuckles to celebrate. And Dakota Kai charges in and kicks Raquel Gonzalez in the head. She grabs the title, holds it over Gonzalez, starts talking some trash to her. She tosses the title onto Gonzalez, stands over her for a moment longer before leaving, and obviously we see Gonzalez on the mat looking very angry. So go ahead and talk about this, sir. You first.
So this is fine, but you could see it coming from a mile away. And so that it was not surprising, and I was also not surprised because tapings.
You haven't wanted it either.
I haven't wanted it, and also tapings.
Right.
I know they were best friends and all, but Kai was praising Gonzalez way too hard. It was just.
Every second that went by,
no real substance to it.
It became more transparent as to what they were doing, right?
I did like the last line as it had some subtlety to it, because it was as long as I have your back.
And then she turned her
you'll
back.
Be champion,
and that
which
was cool.
I think was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Crowd chanting Kai was weird, because she seems to be the clear heel moving forward. Although
I
think we both agree Gons should be the monster heel
to
Kai's. I guess
I'd prefer it, but Dakota's an awesome heel too, so she could have some fun.
It works either way, yeah.
Yep.
It was good though, but I wasn't really particularly wanting this.
Yeah, I like that this happened, but I think they kind of missed an opportunity to have this go on longer and maybe a bit more of subtlety involved. I feel like they gave us the beginning of a story.
Kai kind of looked at
there's been a few
Raquel
things you've pointed out, right?
Or Lee walking past her,
right.
Which I think has happened before. I think that happened with Io. I believe.
I feel like that was the beginning, and then they just skipped right over the middle part and gave us the end, which is now their attack, and they've turned. So I feel
it's like saying a good story has a beginning, middle, end.
And this, they just said screw the middle.
They just said beginning, end.
Yeah. So that bothers me because I think the middle part could have been really interesting if it was done well, because I wanted this to be more and more of those subtle little things for Dakota Kai and then build on it. But it was boom, it's over.
And that's not a thing that WWE necessarily specializes in nowadays, right? So
I'm happy for Dakota Kai because I've always loved her, and I think she deserves to be a main eventer, even if it's only briefly. I would even be fine if she won, because I feel like Gonzalez, with all of the call-ups, she'll be on the main roster, I think, sooner than later,
I think
probably.
She could survive, and I don't think Kai can.
So I thought this was a pretty good segment, but I really feel like with a bit more effort and time, it could have been amazing. So I think they kind of missed something here.
And Kai could be the next dominant champion, where instead of MMA person or Japanese person, she's kick person.
Kick person. Captain of Team Kick?
Yeah, and they said Raquel was more dominant than Shayna Baszler, and I find that very offensive. One, Shayna Baszler is the best. Two, that is factually wrong. Shayna Baszler's the longest reigning champion, and she was a 2-time champion.
Correct.
So it is factually wrong. Or is she the longest reigning champion? I think she is. I don't know. Well, it's factually wrong.
So Adam Cole is backstage, says lately everyone has been trying to attach themselves to him, naming Kyle O'Reilly and Bronson Reed. Basically, he's annoyed that people are trying to make a name off of him, right? Which is somewhat complimentary because he's a big deal. He says he's not Reed's rebound, and he says Reed lost the North American title because he wasn't good enough.
A Reed bound?
Cole doesn't care about Reed's 14-year journey, and he says that Reed is going down tonight. And what did you think? I
thought it was pretty
super
standard
long.
from Cole, but it was good, and he should win this match.
Yeah, standard is when we say about Cole's promos, that means it's really good, kind of like Moxley or whatever. So I thought he was believable as always here. It's a nice little reminder of what's been going on with him lately as well, with these people kind of taking shots at him. I don't think there's a ton of heat up for this match with Reed tonight. It kind of came out of nowhere, and they haven't had much time to build it. And to be fair, Reed's not as strong a promo to be building things with Cole. But anyways, we're going to get the match.
It does feel like this is just like a short mini build, right?
Yeah, really just a quick thing. So earlier this week, we saw a little bit of footage. Io was training by herself. Zoe Stark shows up, tells Io that she doesn't have to train alone anymore and that they sort of need to have some sort of relationship. Io says she doesn't want to be friends. Stark says they just need to be partners. Io again says she respects Zoe but doesn't like her. But Zoe manages by the end of this, I think, to get her Io to agree to hang out. So your thoughts?
So
reluctant partners.
Actually, yeah. Well, see, yeah, but so here's my thing with this. I thought it was actually kind of cool, and I actually kind of like their team dynamic because it is kind of a unique take on this reluctant partners, oddball tag team kind of type deal where they both respect each other, right? Because they're both baby faces. But Stark wants them to be like friends and connect more, and Io doesn't, which I think it's like. Yes, it is that wrestling trope. I feel like it's a little different, right? Yeah. Which I think is that's something. And Stark's kind of like the rookie, and Io's like kind of the veteran, so that's also there.
Yep.
And so I kind of like this. It
is a bit of a different
take on it.
Yep. My question to you, maybe you can clarify though. This whole idea of Io doesn't get along with people and whatever, she's a loner. Is there any history of that, or is this just them?
No, the sore loser thing made sense because she beat up Candice, and I guess
so I feel like this
Candice
is another
was her friend at that point.
Like they're telling us how Io is, and we have no evidence of that when we've seen her.
She was aligned with Kairi Sane, but she didn't turn on Kairi Sane.
Right. So I don't feel like they've done a good enough job of. They're just like, oh, by the way, Io doesn't like people and doesn't work with people, and I'm like, what? I've been watching her for a long time, and I'm not. This is a new thing. So I was just like, I expected maybe you were going to go, yeah, remember this, and this. But if you're saying
like
no,
the
then
sore loser
kind of bugs me a bit.
Saying makes sense because I guess you could say she wasn't, but she was. She just kind of like it's really the whole.
It's team, not a clear fit to me, right?
And like she doesn't like people. I guess when she was healed, but like that isn't that how things work?
And I also think promo wise and segment wise, like Io obviously isn't the greatest in promos. I don't think Zoe Stark is either. So I don't think Zoe needs to be carrying promos for the both of them. You know what I mean? That's a lot to ask of her at this point. I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyways, moving on. Mackenzie sees Mandy Rose talking to Gigi Dolan and Zeta Ramir backstage.
No, it was Jessie J.
Oh, was it?
Zeta Ramir.
I don't know, whoever it was. Gigi Dolan and other. But Mandy just quickly shoos them away, so nothing really happens here. And I just have like another lower...
World's lamest faction, ?
Lower women's faction again to feud with Moné's group or something.
But
like
they're both heels, and I don't care.
I don't really understand what's going on with Mandy Rose or with Frankie Moné. So maybe we'll find out. Frankie Monet and Jessie Kamea with Robert Stone versus Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter.
Let's go, bro. I've been looking forward to this for so damn long. Let's freaking
My favorite part of this was the entrance.
When it ended?
No, the entrance, because Monet has all the gear on and looks like a star, and she's kind of upstaging Kamea during the entrance, and you can see Kamea's like a little bit like, okay, whatever. Like she recognizes it, and it's not that she's mad about it, but she's kind of aware because...
and it was like, she was like, don't step on my dress thing or whatever.
And I think it was as Taya even like raised her arms as she came out, it kind of like completely eclipsed Kamea in the background kind of thing.
Or Stone
so I like that idea. And then everything else happened.
You know what my favorite part was?
When it ended.
It ended.
So the match, basically the idea is it's to further the idea of this Stone, Monet, Kamea group, I guess. And that I think this is basically the only official babyface tag team that could really face them. That's not the champion.
The world's greatest tag team. This is the world's lamest faction.
Right. So we get early tandem drop kicks to Kamea by Catanzaro and Carter. Monet at some point blind tags. Kamea looks annoyed by the blind tag kind of thing because I don't think Kamea was ready to come out. So they're already like the reluctant tag partners having problems.
Right,
like,
this
oh my
god, lame. Because one, I think I can say it again. I don't care. And two, like, there's no like. I think we made the point that Stark and Neo's they have a little bit of uniqueness to it, and this just like, and it also seems kind of forced too. Cause like just.
Well, I don't even understand why these people are affiliated at this
point.
So
that's a good point.
We get a nice DDT by Monet out of the corner to Carter. The heels then isolate Caden Carter, double team her in between some frequent tags. Robert Stone, we're not very far into this match, and Robert Stone, I believe, tries to offer his shoe to Frankie Monet. There's a little bit of confusion.
I think it was like a purse.
Oh, was it? His bag or whatever?
Right, because I remember he was holding it after, and I was like, oh, because I thought it was a shoe too. But then I saw after, I don't think it was his shoe. It might have been, I don't know.
Monet, he might have like a satchel or a men's carry-all or something.
That's the kind of thing.
Monet doesn't want to do it, and that distraction allows Kat and Zaro.
Or I think it was, that she didn't want to do it, but I think it was so he was yelling at her, and she was kind of maybe either didn't hear it or was ignoring him, and then he threw it at her, remember? And so then she kind of got mad. She was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right.
And then she ends up taking the 450 neckbreaker combination finisher that does look pretty amazing. And they pin Frankie Monet, and it's over. Thoughts?
Poor Frankie Monet. She teamed with Jessie Kamea, and she got pinned.
And she already has issues with Kamea and Stone, it looks like.
Right.
So this thing is moving like a million miles an hour.
Wasn't super interesting as a match, and I've already established how much I care about this whole Robert Stone brand thing.
Yeah.
So I was really not a big fan of this in general, and that's a fair point also that the storyline is just this happens, this happens. Oh, they're dissension in the ranks.
Yep. They're already teasing issues.
Stone, quote-unquote, trying to help was dumb because it didn't look like that at all. He just yelled at Monet from the apron and then threw something at her. Great help, I guess.
Nope.
It did not make sense, and I don't care at all about this.
Nope, this is moving a million miles an hour, but none of it really matters or is interesting for me.
Or makes sense at some point.
And there's a lot of people tied up in this, and they're in and they're out and they're gone, and it's not making a ton of sense, although it's,
I want to say the only star is Frankie Monet, but then...
But is she?
Right!
We love her, and we would like her to be a star.
But
and she
how
should be,
much longer can I say that,
right.
You know?
I didn't enjoy any of this, to sum it up directly. So Wade Barrett then sits down with Malcolm Bivens and Roderick Strong at Diamond Mine, and this is what I've been looking for, right? Because I've been saying
this is something, right?
We need to know and learn something about them because they're just kind of there so far.
Did.
We'll see. We'll talk about it. So Barrett asks how they got together. Strong says that despite his talent, he couldn't break through the chaos of the Undisputed Era, but that Bivens contacted him and he saw the light. Bivens says Strong is one of the best and is a leader and not a number 2, 3, or 4 guy. And who thought Bivens would be the guy to bring him back to NXT? Because not even William Regal could do that. Barrett asks about Bobby Fish targeting Strong, and Bivens says whoever said money can't buy happiness is a broke liar. Fish versus Strong is a big money match, and it's happening next week. Strong says when he finishes Fish, it's over.
Because as we know, big money matches take place the week after they're announced.
Right.
As we know. Ask Isaiah Lee.
That's right.
I kind of liked it. It gave us something for Diamond, right? Diamond Mine, right? Like some sort of explanation.
Did it? Anyways,
I think it did.
Carry on.
I think it did, because it was mostly about how Strong came back with Star Diamond, but at least it was he had all this mental trauma and Malcolm Bivens brought him back. Yes, it wasn't super detailed, which I think is probably what you would say.
Stating the obvious is what I would say.
Yeah, but I think it kind of gave us something. And
it summarized what has happened and nothing else, and I'm annoyed. Right?
Bivens probably should have handled the bulk of this. I think they should have elaborated more, maybe with specifics.
Roddy's delivery.
I thought Roddy was a little better.
I thought it was bad.
And I feel like they could have gone like that. How does Rust get in this?
Right.
I guess, that's kind of obvious. Okay, fine. Who's the Japanese guy? I mean, I know his name, but I don't know if they're going with his name.
Yeah.
Right?
Not even his role officially outlined.
He's a coach, they said. Yeah. So maybe, how did they get the coach? Or why did he bring Roddy and Rust together?
Something.
Is he going to get Rust a title match?
Right.
These are the things we need to know.
So we got the segment I was hoping for, but then I still didn't learn anything. Roddy wasn't good. Bivens is fine. But what did I get new? I got nothing. I got Roddy was gone. Now he's back. He had issues with Undisputed Era. That is not new information. That is just summarizing things we already know. Even me, who forgets everything, knows that. So I was very disappointed because I thought they were finally going to come through and tell me what's up with this group. Why should I care about them? And I got no new information whatsoever. So very disappointed in this, frankly. We then get a reminder that Dragunov Walter has been postponed till TakeOver 36, which is great news for me. Dakota Kai is then at the door about to exit the building. She's asked to explain her actions.
She just runs
She
away.
says nothing and walks out. We then are getting a match between Imperium and Hit Row, which will be represented by Ashanti Theodonis and Top Dollar for this match. I guess most of them probably. So Imperium is basically looking to cleanse the tag team division because to them the mat is sacred. So they're targeting like less serious teams that in their mind, I guess.
Well,
like,
to me, Hit Row is sacred.
Like Hit Row and MSG. So that's kind of how we got to this one. They don't think that Hit Row take things seriously enough and treat wrestling with the reverence and respect it deserves, I guess, is the build. Although maybe I just did a better job of building that than they did, frankly. So we get early on a nice drop kick by Adonis to Bartel. Imperium then double team Adonis briefly, but he hits a neck breaker to Eichner. High knee by Top Dollar to Eichner once he's in. Drop kick suplex combo by Hit Row. B-Fab and Swerve step in to stop a double team attack, and Adonis hits a spine buster to Bartel just after that. Imperium do hit a double team running kick thing that they do when Adonis is hanging in the corner. I think it was the second attempt.
Like the drive-by and then
one guy's outside, one guy's
drop kick.
That's right. Adonis needs to make a tag, but Imperium sort of aren't letting him. They keep dragging him back to their corner and focus on his midsection. We get a double underhook suplex by Bartel at one point. Adonis finally does make the hot tag. Adala comes in, dominates both members of Imperium. He hits a knee lift, corner splash, side slam, leaping elbow in succession. That's Top Dollar I'm talking about. Swerve gets attacked by Legato on the outside. Top Dollar runs them over, chases Escobar up the ramp, but as he does, of course, Ashanti is left alone, and Imperium hit their finishing, uppercut into a...
European Bomb.
Oh, right. And Ashanti...
I like that name.
...gets pinned, and Imperium pick up the win over Hit Row. What'd you think? Oh, sorry, before I say that. Legato then attacked Top Dollar. He fights back, but numbers are too much for him. Swerve comes in, swinging a chair, and sort of chases off Imperium. Now, your thoughts.
I think they changed the name of the European Bomb, but I like that name. I remember that's what it was called.
How about the Imperi Bomb? No good?
That's like, remember when they tried to rename the Triple Power Bomb the Shield Bomb?
Shield Bomb. So lame.
I know. The match itself was fine, a decent TV match, but it didn't particularly interest me. But I wouldn't necessarily call it bad. I think the result was bad. Hit Row is undoubtedly above Imperium, and as such, they should not be losing to Imperium. Especially not the screwy finish, because, well, you could say, oh, that's why they lost. I think screwy finishes like this are pretty lame.
Yeah.
I would have preferred Legato go for a post-match attack, which that's, like, more straightforward, just works better, I think. I still like the Legato Hit Row feud, but I don't love, like, this
chunk
result.
Of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess the point is it keeps Hit Row looking strong because they didn't lose clean, but you're right. If this happens too much, it becomes a lot. I thought this was a pretty good match with a simple formula, right? Heels isolate the smaller man, big man hot tag. He gets stopped by interference and kind of a screwy finish win for the heels. I imagine setting up them against MSK next. Maybe. So yeah, it allows Hit Row to lose, stay strong, furthers their issues with kind of both teams, right? And maybe there's like a multi-team match coming. I feel like that might be there because these three teams seem to be circling each other a little bit. But I thought this was a pretty good match. The Way are then backstage. Austin Theory is noticeably missing. They're talking about him actually not being there. Somebody, I didn't catch if it was anyone important, comes with a present for Indy, and it's a drawing of The Way with Dexter Loomis in Theory's spot.
And Gargano takes great offense to this.
He does. Gargano and LeRae are mad about it. Gargano says he has no chance of joining their family. Indy then suggests a match between Loomis and Gargano. If Loomis wins, they give Dexter a chance, but if Gargano wins, then no more Dexter. Johnny agrees, and Indy leaves to go and set this match up with William Regal. Thoughts?
I thought this was good enough, but the stipulation's kind of dumb. But I guess that's in line with the whole Index storyline. I did like how sensitive and angry Johnny was when he saw the drawing, and when Candace suggests Theory leaving was maybe his fault, he's like, how dare you?
Right. I guess things are happening. We're getting this match. I mean, it's fine. Right. I don't care very much about this story. I need it to progress and hopefully resolve itself with the whole Loomis involvement.
Yeah, I'm not
hopefully
really
it's satisfyingly.
I'm not really needing and looking forward to a John Gargano Loomis match, but that's what we're getting. Mm-hmm. And it's a love her or lose her match. And like, if I had a list of one-off match stipulations I thought would never come back, this would be way up there with probably Crybaby match, the Playboy pillow fight, a San Francisco 49ers match, and a Judy Bagwell on a forklift
Wasn't
match.
there a gravy something match too on
that
WWE?
Sounds right.
A Divas gravy bowl something.
Pool.
I feel like maybe. Yeah, it was like an inflatable pool of gravy. It was sad, embarrassing for all involved. We go back to the golf course with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. And the Grizzled Young Veterans are now on the golf course, and they're sort of angry. They want to play through, as it's called. I know you're not a golfer, but basically, if the group in front of you is playing too slowly, what they're supposed to do is let you pass them, right? Like if there's a faster group coming behind me and you and I are taking forever to golf, either because we're talking or we're not good golfers, the etiquette is you let the faster group play through.
Again, Grimes not knowing
right.
the etiquette.
So Grimes actually he kind of steps in to defend Knight, but he's also like insulting Knight at the same time here. So the Grizzled Young Veterans offer a double or nothing on Grimes, $10,000 to get a hole-in-one on this hole, which is ridiculous because the odds you would need for that to hit a hole-in-one, it's like winning the lottery. But anyways, details. So Knight puts his shot in the water. Grimes takes his shot as Knight is turned around, sort of arguing with the Grizzled Young Veterans. So Knight accidentally gets hit in the groin and the head with Grimes' swing.
Shocker, I know.
But Grimes still manages to get a hole-in-one as he's using this golden golf ball and club. So he's going to win the $20,000 bet. Grimes celebrates, convinces Knight that it was Grizzled Young Veterans that hit him instead of Grimes. Knight falls for it and starts chasing Grizzled Young Veterans away. So this was our final one tonight. What did you think?
I thought this was decent. I liked it a bit, more than the other ones. I know you're still probably not like with the whole
you know
thing
me well,
from
sir.
last week.
Right.
I thought it was the best of the three, though.
Yeah.
I find the third one seemed to be the best.
Yeah.
Grimes did a good job as always. I think he's a good performer, right? I think that's never really in question. And I thought this was generally better than the other stuff they've done. I didn't mind the inclusion of GYV.
Yeah.
Grizzled Young Veterans.
Right.
Grimes hitting Knight when he was teeing off was kind of predictable, but it was harmless, I guess.
I didn't think this was funny. It again, a swift departure from the lingering tone of last week's sort of a forced attack. I'm not sure who looks good coming out of these segments. Is it Grimes, I guess? Because he got the hole-in-one and he hit him in the balls and stuff, I guess. I feel like these segments had potential, right? Like I was willing to give them a chance, but they haven't delivered for me. I don't know what the general consensus is, if people are loving these or not, but I just think they're kind of like there. I don't know. They're fill-in time. They don't really entertain me too much. But now we're going to get the main event, so hopefully that entertains me more. It is Bronson Reed abandoning his North American title quest and taking on Adam
just
Cole.
Completely abandoning it.
So basically, yeah, Reed lost the North American title, decided to abandon that division, claiming he was moving on to bigger and better things in a guy who doesn't have a title at all. But anyways, that's beside the point. So,
but it's Adam Cole, baby.
True. So Cole was his first target. And as we talked about, Cole resents being a stepping stone for anyone. And he's sort of taken exception to Reed's plans of making a name off of him. So that's where we stand coming into this. So Reed overpowers Cole early, hits a shoulder tackle. We get a chop block by Cole, and he begins to target Bronson Reed's leg. Gorilla press, and he just drops Adam Cole and follows it up with an elbow drop. Reed then does that spot where he sits on Cole, and I'm not sure how that doesn't hurt, honestly. Like, the man just fully sits down on your chest. So, Cole...
You gotta just be ready to just take a big blow.
Right. Reed is up on the ropes at one point, facing the outside. Cole kicks out his leg, escapes sort of the superplex attempt. Reed falls to the mat. Then we get some more leg work by Cole. There's a dragon screw, a knee bar, some stomps throughout. Cole taunts Reed at one point, then Reed sort of fires up. Corner splash and a senton by Reed. Reed counters a suplex with like a twisting kind of Samoan drop. I didn't quite know what to call it, but that's what I went with.
Oh, yeah, I think it was like some sort of DVD.
Yeah, it could have been. Running kick to the face out of the corner by Cole for a 2 count. Cole gets caught, and then Reed lands numerous chops to him. Panama Sunrise is successful, but only for a 2 count by Cole. We get a last shot countered with a clothesline and a power bomb by Reed. Reed steps up to the top rope, misses his tsunami splash, gets a super kick and a last shot by Adam Cole, and it is over. Adam Cole defeats Bronson Reed here. Cole celebrates at the bottom of the ramp. Kyle O'Reilly runs out, nails Cole.
You can never celebrate on the ramp with your back face to the entrance stage.
Hits Cole with the chair, lands a few more chair shots. O'Reilly picks up the ring steps, then suplexes Cole hard onto them, kind of on the edge.
Buster.
I thought it looked. I don't know, it's not a brain buster. It's a suplex, but anyways, they might call it that. I don't remember, but it did look like an awkward angle. Cole kind of landed on the side, on the edge of it a little bit. O'Reilly stands tall over Adam Cole to end the show.
That might bust your brain.
What did you think?
I thought this was good. It was a solid main event.
Match of the night, I thought, right?
Yep.
Which I isn't saying a ton, but nonetheless.
I felt a little short. I think if given a little more time, these guys are for sure capable of more. Reed taking a Panama Sunrise, I think, was pretty impressive. I think, like, just for, like, a big guy to take that kind of bump, I think that's pretty nice.
Yep.
This got Cole a solid win, so I'm happy. The O'Reilly attack was cool, and the steel stare, brainbuster, whatever, looked nice.
It did.
I also like this because it confirms we will be getting the tiebreaker match of this feud, which I did want. Overall, a good match that could have been better given more time. I think the aftermath is good as it does set up what I want.
Yeah, I thought the match was good. I don't think it was great, but it was good main event.
Right. I feel like if they got more time, because I like both of them,
yep.
so they could do more.
I'm not sure where it puts Bronson Reed now, right? So he's abandoned the North American title scene to go for bigger and better things. He might
be getting his farewell in like August
and then he loses his first attempt at bigger and better things, so that doesn't leave him in a very strong spot in the company, right?
But I can't say I wasn't seeing that coming.
No, and Cole doesn't seem to be positioned to lose right now, right? So back to facing O'Reilly, which will be a good match, but I'm kind of losing interest in the feud in general. They need to do something to sort of kick it up for me, but I know the match will be good. So I thought a good, not amazing main event.
Mm-hmm.
So overall thoughts and a grade for this episode, sir.
So overall not the most exciting show, but I thought it was still pretty good. The opener wasn't it was good, but it didn't quite meet my expectations, which admittedly might have been a little high. Ridge Holland's return doesn't excite me because I didn't really love him when he was in NXT last year.
Right.
It does not make sense to me at the moment without any explanation because he united with Dan Lorcan when Lorcan was the cause of his injury. If he gets a new look and theme, I'll give it a bit of a chance, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo Hayes had a decent little package, and Hit Row's promo was good as usual. Joe's segment was pretty good from a promo standpoint. But it was also good in the aspect of what it accomplished. Got us our presumed takeover main event, or at least a heavyweight title match, and Joe's return match, and also his addition to the roster. And I do think Regal's acting was pretty good.
Me too.
And maybe a little underrated. Not sure how other people are feeling about that.
Right.
Maybe let us know. Josh Briggs' package was fine, but I like Hayes more, and I think I think they're both generic, but I feel like Briggs is a little too generic.
Yes.
Compared to Hayes. Hayes versus Briggs was a decent TV match. Best of the breakout tournament matches so far, but not exactly a high bar, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzalez and Kai's promo wasn't super interesting, but it wasn't bad, but it was a lot of Gonzalez the best, she beat everyone, there's no one left, blah, 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 and like you said, just
they telegraphed it by the end, right?
They really did telegraph it until Kai actually did turn on her. I don't love them breaking out because I love them as a team, but they should have a good match, which I assume will be a takeover.
I would think.
Right. Io and Zoe's interaction was amusing, and I liked it because it was decent, and it did build their team dynamic, which is kind of the wrestling trope, but it's a little different, so that's at least something.
Yep.
Okay. The women's tag match was met as a match, and I really don't care, but the storyline that's backing it.
Right.
So it kind of felt like a waste of time to me, when I feel like other things, namely the opener main event, could have used some more time in place of this match. I don't know how much extra time they would have gotten, but it would have been something. Roddy's interview with Wade Barrett was pretty decent, as I think Roddy still isn't the best, but I liked him a little more here. It gave us a little something. Like you said, it was kind of saying the obvious, but I felt like it was something at least.
Yep, they tried.
Hero vs. Imperium was a fine TV tag match, but I wasn't not a fan of the outcome. Knight and Grimes golfing segments as a whole were fine, and I think the pick of the bunch is the third one, but I don't think you really need to watch any of them.
No. Agree?
They're not really super must-see.
Right.
The Way segment was decent, once again somewhat humorous, but I don't care at all about Index. I think the only person who does is Beth Phoenix. And the stipulation in the match does not interest me as a result. Not to mention, it's a Dexter Lumis match, which I am notoriously known for not liking for.
That is true.
Cole versus Reed was a good main event, but I think it could have done better. But for what it was, I think they did a good job. The aftermath was good too, as we'll get the Cole O'Reilly rematch and hopefully the wrap up of this feud.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, a decent show that had some ups, a couple downs, and some stuff in between. But I mostly liked it, so I'll give it a B plus, maybe a little low, but still B plus.
Wow, I was not a fan of this show, and my grade will reflect that. In ring, there really wasn't much I liked at all.
Yeah, I think I was higher on the golfing segments.
The main event was good. Hit Row Imperium and the breakout match were fine. Not great. Mane Kamea match did nothing for me, and the opener I thought I was pretty disappointed. The return of Ridge Holland didn't move the needle for me, and kind of lessens my interest in Pete Dunne because I don't want him partnered up with other people. But segment wise, I thought Cole could have cut a good promo. Gons and Kai's split was good, but seemed rushed and could have been a lot better in my opinion. The Grimes stuff was just really light entertainment that isn't connecting with me. Nothing made me laugh. And it felt disconnected from the final segment last week. Maybe
there's hope like Holland and Larkin can just form a team, or maybe when Birch comes back, they can form a loser faction and then Dunn splits from them.
Maybe. Bivens and Strong were given an opportunity to give me something in their sit-down interview, but they didn't give us anything new, so I was disappointed in that as well. Mm-hmm. Joe and Regal were really good, I thought. I thought both of the promos for the Breaking Ground people missed the mark as well, because they're not telling us anything other than these guys are here to win, which, duh. So I don't know.
No, they're here to lose, actually.
This show felt really bland to me. It had a return in Holland and a breakup in Kai and Gonzalez, but I just didn't find it interesting, and I'm giving it a C. I don't think there's anything on this show that I actually recommend highly. Like, watch the Joe Regal segment, I guess, and maybe the main event, and that like this was one week where this felt like a bit of a chore to me. Like, normally NXT and Dynamite, I'm like, whatever. At the end of the day, I enjoy myself for 2 hours. I take some notes and I move on. This one felt like work a little bit.
I feel like,
wasn't my fave.
If just, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, like, I feel like NXT has been doing good lately, so maybe that also influences it.
But a lull the last couple weeks for me, to be honest. So there's always peaks and valleys, right? So right now, it's in a bit of a valley for me, but we'll see where it goes from there. So not their best week. But let's transition into our next segment where we're going to talk about some trivia. You're going to talk about it. I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to answer them. It's off the top of his head.
How does one talk about trivia?
So I'm just going to ask questions then. So here's what it is. I found a really great site that looks like it has a couple good quizzes at least. So I'm going to attack the first half of this one. So it's from nodq.com. They have some various trivia challenges. Now, here's how we're going to set it up because I'm on the quiz now. So you have options, but if you would like to answer without the 4 options, then you may. But
I'll ask for options?
But if that is your answer, then I have to click it to check, right? So do you know what I mean? So anyways, let's just start and we'll see. So if you want the options, let me know. Who was the first person Brody Lee attacked when he debuted with AEW? So if you guess one of the 4, right, the only way I'm going to know is to click on it. So that's what I'm saying. Do you want your options?
Yeah.
Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, Colt Cabana. Brody Lee attacked.
I think it was Daniels.
You'll take Daniels. You are correct.
I was going to say SCU.
It was Daniels. Taz made his WWE pay-per-view debut, because I like these, they're all over the place, as a member of the WWE roster at which event?
Royal Rumble 2000.
Royal Rumble, he says. It is correct.
Against Kurt
Didn't even have the year in the options. What type of match did Finlay and JBL have at WrestleMania 24? I have options if you'd like them.
Belfast Brawl?
Belfast Brawl is correct. Wow, that's ridiculous.
Because Finlay is Irish.
I thought you'd like these because they're all over the place and it's stuff like...
Well, and that would actually test one's knowledge because it's like, a specific topic, like Money in the Bank.
I got this one right.
Okay.
Who did King Kong Bundy squash at WrestleMania 1?
SD Jones.
Correct. Wow. Okay. What was the main event of the first the first WCW Clash of Champions event in 1988? The main event.
Harley Race?
No. Do you want options?
Ric Flair?
You want options.
Yes.
Ric Flair versus Sting. Road Warriors versus Powers of Pain. Dusty Rhodes versus Lex Luger. Barry Windham versus Arn Anderson.
Rhodes and Luger.
That is not correct. I believe it is Ric Flair and Sting. It is Ric Flair and Sting. Who was Brock Lesnar's opponent at the 2017, your favorite pay-per-view name ever, Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view? Who was his opponent?
Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe is correct. Very good. I did not know that.
That's like the greatest pay-per-view name of all time.
So I figure we'll go 25 of these, and that leaves me 25 for a later date when I'm feeling lazy for the trivia preparation. So what was the opening match of the WrestleMania 36 main card? So I assume that means not the pre-show. WrestleMania 36 opener. I have options if you'd like them.
Yeah, sure.
Elias versus King Corbin, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors, or Aleister Black versus Robert Lashley.
The women's tag.
It was, in fact, the women's tag match. Correct. Good job. According to Spotify, what is the name of Brock Lesnar's WWE theme song? Options?
Beast Incarnate or Incarnate?
Your options are The Beast, F5, Next Big Thing, Here Comes the Pain.
The Beast.
I believe that is incorrect. It is the Next Big Thing. You don't know anything about wrestling at all. Who did Diamond?
See you go.
I know.
Wrestling.
I don't get stuff from last week. Who did Diamond Dallas Page defeat to win the WCW United States title at Starrcade 97? You have options if you'd like. Diamond Dallas Page, United States title win, Starrcade 97. This is my era and my company, and I don't even remember. Not an option. Okay. Hennig, Hall, Nash, Raven. I think I know, but I'm not sure.
Hennig.
You're saying Kurt Hennig is correct. Very good.
I knew it wasn't Raven because I know Raven won it at pay-per-view and lost it the next day to Goldberg, I think.
Nice. You know stuff you don't even watch. I love WCW, and of this era, I preferred it to WWE, to be honest. Who won the 2018 WWE Mae Young Classic? You should know this.
Toni Storm.
Toni Storm is
gross.
Correct.
And she beat Io.
Right. Which of the following wrestlers never won the Intercontinental title? So I guess I have to give you them, right? Nope.
You are legally obligated.
Jonathan Cena.
Cena.
Triple H. You're saying Cena? Cena. Final answer. Correct.
Do you remember the other options?
No, I just skipped.
Yeah, I just know I don't even think he's ever challenged for it.
At which pay-per-view did Tessa Blanchard become the Impact Wrestling World Champion? So Impact Champion.
Was it Hard to Kill?
It is one of the options, and that is correct.
Yeah,
Nicely
I was
done.
a bit rebellion. I was like, no, it wasn't.
Who was the first woman to win the WWE Divas title in 2008?
Michelle McCool.
Michelle McCool is correct. You know a lot of stuff. What was the first WWE pay-per-view ever to take place at the Thunderdome? Options if you'd like.
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam is correct. Nicely done. Which wrestler has the most combined days as ECW World Champion? It looks from the list that they're not talking WWE.
Got it. Options, please.
Options. Shane Douglas, Sandman, Raven, Taz.
Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas is correct. Nice. Cody Rhodes' theme song, Kingdom, was recorded by which band? Good
Downstate.
Luck. Stop. I was going to say good luck knowing that. You do know it. Nice. Okay.
How dare you?
That's sad. Which of the following wrestlers did The Rock not win the WWE Tag Team titles with?
Okay.
Ready? So who did he not win with? Mankind, Jericho, Undertaker, Steve Austin. Austin is correct. Very nice.
I know he won.
I think I might have gotten that one right too.
It was Mankind was there. Yep. Like that was Rock and Sock. Jericho was during the Invasion.
Right.
I know that he and Taker beat Edge and Christian once.
Right. I think I might have gotten that one right.
Tag titles.
Who eliminated CM Punk?
And he feuded with Austin.
Here's a detail for you. Who eliminated CM Punk from the 2014 Royal Rumble? I have options if you want them, because unless this was some major event. Kane, Rollins, Reigns, Batista. I don't know the answer.
Kane.
So by the way, I said Batista doesn't help you. It was Kane.
I was going to say Kane before
you're playing the odds, right? Because
he's eliminated
the most. I was
actually going to say Kane before this because I remember Kane put him through the announce table after.
And plus, he eliminates more people than anyone. So it's a smart move to pick him.
Right. Well, and I just remembered that, and so I wasn't sure, 100% sure.
Detail ready? Who is the first entry into the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble match? Who came in first? I should know that too, but I don't.
Options?
Bayley, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Shotzi, Blackheart.
Bayley.
Bayley is correct. Nice.
I think Naomi was number 2.
Which year was Randy Orton not a sole survivor in his Survivor Series match? Okay.
I'll just do it without the options. I'm just kidding.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
03, 04, 05, 06. I don't know the answer. Until I click on it.
04.
04 is incorrect. 2006.
I was going to say 03, and then I was like, I'll go 04.
All right. NFL player Steve Mongo McMichael had his first WCW match at which pay-per-view event?
Options.
Slamboree, Great American Bash, Bash at the Beach, Hog Wild.
Hog Wild.
I think that would be my choice, but we're both wrong. It was Great American Bash.
Oh.
I feel like I remember that.
I was gonna, for some reason I was gonna go with Uncensored, and then you said Slamboree. I was like, I'll go with that, and then heard Hog Wild. I was like, yeah, I'll go with that.
So a couple more. You might know this. I don't know why you would, but it's something you might. You
always say that.
Which city has not hosted WWE WrestleMania more than twice? Okay. So more than twice. So 3 or more, I guess. LA, New York, Chicago, Toronto.
Well, so give me the options again. I know there's
LA,
Toronto and New York.
New York, Chicago, Toronto. More than twice. Chicago is not correct. I was right. It's Toronto. We've had it twice, right? But not more than twice.
Oh, I must have just heard the question wrong, because I know they held it twice. And then
yeah, I knew, and it was more than. Which one hasn't? It's okay.
Insert it.
What was the main event of NXT TakeOver Philadelphia in January of 2018? I feel like you know this.
You can probably answer it too.
Because it was the greatest match ever.
Oh my god.
Greatest match ever.
Rest.
Who was it? Sorry. Andrade Gargano.
Jonathan Gargano and Andrade El Idolo.
Last one, and I know you know this. I'm almost positive. What was the name of Braun Strowman's young tag team partner at Mania 34?
Nicholas Cone.
Correct. Very good. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, it was good.
It's good, right? Their questions are all over the place, well worded with options. I thought it was good. All right, well, let's go back to talking about some wrestling in depth, specifically AEW Dynamite.
Right, and so this is the end of the month of TV specials, although
right.
We're getting another one.
What was this one?
Week,
Fight for the Fallen?
Homecoming. Yep, Fight for the Fallen. And we open with the Survivor Series style 10-man elimination tag match.
Yeah, we do.
Which is Hangman Page and the Dark Order versus the Elite. We got some big time entrances for this.
Seriously.
It was awesome. You had a package where it was like talking about cowboy, blah, 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 but it was good.
The basic thing was that the idea was you don't need a hat to be a cowboy, so it's showing all of the Dark Order guys not wearing a cowboy hat, but their shadow being cast on the wall is wearing a cowboy hat. And it was basically about being a cowboy is more about supporting your friends, being reliable,
basically the Dark Order.
Having courage, right? And then it transitioned right into the Dark Order Hangman entrance, right?
They're all on the stage, and the spotlights show them one by one until Hangman comes.
Right, and they all have bandanas.
His theme sounded a little different.
Yeah.
It sounded pretty similar, but that sucks because I love his theme, like his original one. And I noticed his Tron is the same, but it had purple on it.
Yeah.
Instead of like the orange and yellow. So
I love this.
He had purple and green on his tights to kind of like they're really embracing like he's with them now.
I thought this made the match feel really important, right? I thought I was completely captivated by this, and this is just little extra stuff right. AEW seems to do, and I loved it.
And so the Elite have an entrance mimicking the Toon Squad with the new Space Jam coming out around right about now. And Justin Roberts has a basketball kind of intro for them, and they got like the
it was funny too
music, and so that was good too.
So theirs was a contrast to like Dark Order Page because it was a little more lighthearted, but I already basically one of my notes here is this is already more fun than almost all of NXT this week, and it was just the introductions to the opening match, and I thought it was so much fun.
Yeah. So this is a pretty frenzied opener with action all over the place. It got more controlled as participants were eliminated and as it kind of settled down, but it stayed entertaining till the very end. So notables were, so Anderson Hangman did start the match. It does eventually erupt into a mass brawl between all the participants.
Of course.
Dark Order Hysterio suplexes on the Elite, Except for Stu Grayson, because obviously Gallows will not be taking a suplex. No.
So they were outside the ring, so the Gallows could take it easy, and the rest of them took a suplex.
Reynolds superplexes Nick Jackson onto the pile. Mm-hmm. That was pretty nice. The Elite all hit corner moves on Reynolds, but Gallows misses his. And then he takes a flurry of corner moves from the Dark Order.
Right, they all literally line up and take their turns to run over a guy in the corner.
Reynolds and Silver hit their signature tag combo on Anderson, but Gallows is able to break the pin.
Looked great.
Anderson rolls up Reynolds with a handful of tights to get an elimination. So our first elimination is Carl Anderson eliminating Alex Reynolds.
Quick, get your awesome-looking flurry in, because we're about to eliminate you, right? And away you went, but that's fine. It's got to happen.
And Grayson and Uno are able to nail Anderson with their fatality finisher, which I love that. It's like,
it looks good.
Uno's, if you don't know what it is, Uno's got their opponent in like kind of a gory stretch position.
Right.
And then Grayson kind of hits like a flipping cutter almost, or like a inverted blockbuster type deal.
Yep.
So it looks awesome. I
Grayson
really like it.
Grayson was pretty nuts.
And so Uno pins him. So Evil Uno eliminates Carl Anderson.
Nice.
Silver beals Matt Jackson twice. Grayson gets Gallows up in a torture rack, but Gallows gets out, which I thought that was pretty impressive, even just as a bit of a display there.
And on the beals that Silver was doing, it happened a couple times, but this is where he ends up in the corner, right? And so Cutler spraying the cold spray on the shoulders, which made me laugh, because sometimes he wasn't even in frame, and suddenly just the cold spray comes blasting out, so it made me laugh every time.
Uno and Grayson hit their signature, like the stereo cannonball 450 splash,
which I think always looks cool.
Yeah, I like that. Omega was able to break the pin though. Uno hits his like ref assisted neck breaker thing where he gives the ref the foot. Springboard corkscrew dive on the pile by Grayson kind of hit his head off of the
and even
ground.
Commentary pointed out he kind of split the crowd underneath and landed really hard, but it was a crazy move. The landing wasn't great, but it looked awesome.
Right. Grayson dives off of a railing into the crowd to take out Gallows. Like, they're kind of brawling through the crowd. Right. They both get eliminated by count, which I thought was kind of lame, but that's probably because Gallows is like, I ain't taking no bump, brother.
And Grayson might have been hurt. I don't know. It could have been an audible too, right? Like, he hit one more thing and then he was gone. But he looked crazy in the time he got. Like, he went all out for the time he got Grayson.
Right. A running Hurricane Rana and an End of Days by Uno for 2. Oh, is Baron Corbin coming to AEW? No.
I thought Uno looked really good in his time with Omega in the match, right? They looked good together.
Yeah. Uno's pretty good. I like him.
Yep.
Omega gets his knees up on a Swanton Bomb attempt by Uno. And a V-trigger and a One-Winged Angel seals Uno's fate as he is eliminated by Kenny Omega.
Right.
We got 2 One-Winged Angels in this match.
We did.
That was pretty nice. A spear to Matt by Silver, corner high knee, and a bulldog by Nick. And I remember, so I was telling you about this. I saw a thing like people like there's some teases towards CM Punk in this show.
There are,
like
for sure. I would say more than that even.
Right, and they include this in it, like him hitting that knee bulldog that Punk used to do. And that's dumb to me because, like, Nick's done this. If you've seen Nick Jackson, every time he does a hot tag flurry, he does this move. So, yes, they tease Punk a lot, but you can't act like this was one of them.
I would agree.
But I do love that move. It's pretty nice. Big flurry by Silver, taking out all the Elite, and he almost eliminates Nick with, like, that spinning UFO move that Cesaro's done.
Looks great.
Repeated super kicks by Silver, but Nick gets out of, like, a brainbuster attempt, I think it was. The Bucks hit a slam dunk, which was missed. Melter driver to Silver on the outside.
Right, which a bit of a ridiculous spot, but it's funny.
Maybe it's even like they missed it on purpose, because like they're just like they're doing it just to be.
Oh, I don't think
jerks.
He did, because he went and dunked it after just for the crowd.
Yeah,
but I like the idea of people like, oh, this is too much, it's too silly. But the Bucks have positioned themselves as such arrogant like heels that they're like, we can do this in the middle of a match and still beat you. Like that's it to me. This. Yeah, it's silly, but it fits their character. Like,
or we're willing to goof off, but then if we need to, we'll just cheat until we're back on top.
We're gonna set up an elaborate trick just for our own amusement, basically, because we're so good. So I had no problem with it.
And then they nail Silver with the BTE trigger for the elimination. Matt Jackson eliminates John Silver.
Yep.
A strike exchange between Hangman and Omega, as Hangman is now the only one left for his team.
Yeah, I liked how that worked out.
By Omega, discus forearm by Hangman, super kicks by the Bucks, and a snapdragon by Omega, and a near fall from a triple super kick from the Elite, which is pretty nice. Matt and Kenny hold Hangman up with his feet on second rope, so Nick can hit a 450 splash, kind of a draping splash, which I think that's really
They've done it a few times now.
They've done that. It's usually with the Swanton Bomb, but I like this. It looks so cool. Hangman flips out of a German suplex and hits a clothesline to Omega. Moonsault onto the Elite by Hangman. Omega narrowly avoids the Deadeye. A pop-up powerbomb by Hangman, but Nick breaks the pin. Matt counters the buckshot, but Hangman gets out of the Meltzer driver. A double buckshot lariat by Hangman, and he covers Matt for an elimination.
Yeah.
Hangman hits the Deadeye on Omega for a near fall. Nick distracts the ref. Omega hits a belt on Hangman for another near fall. A couple of V-triggers and a one-winged angel finish off the match. And the Elite actually pick up the win.
Nasty V-triggers at the
end. Which
that
means Page is out of the top 5, and the Dark Order don't get a tag title shot. So quite the interesting result.
A very surprising result, right? Because you just assume, okay, Page is going to have to do all this stuff, but he's going to end up winning and etc. But man, I just thought this match was so much fun and a great opener. It got a ton of time, but it still seemed to kind of fly by. It started out really hectic, like you were saying, and all over the place. Then it's kind of settled into a more standard elimination match for a little bit. I thought Grayson looked crazy in the time that he looked really good. I thought Silver looked awesome. Uno looked good, especially in his time one-on-one against Omega for a little bit. And people are going to call this a spot fest and indie-rific, or say the refs have no control, and they're probably right. But at the end of the
JR
day,
even made the point that they should have a second ref out there.
At the end of the day, I watch wrestling for enjoyment and entertainment, and
that's what you got here.
I enjoyed the heck out of this match. Omega and the Bucks, I think, understand, right, that they're made guys in this industry, so they spent
and they're actually using it to put other guys over.
That's what I'm saying. They spent 2/3 of this match elevating other guys, and then they still got their chance to shine at the end.
Right.
I thought a really long match. I thought it was terrific. It put me in just a really good mood for the rest of this show.
I think it's a contrast when they're putting over guys, because so they're putting over the Dark Order guys and whatnot. They're using their star power to.
Yes.
And then Cody thinks he's doing that with QT Marshall
he's reaching too far to do it.
Right, and Brock Anderson, who cares?
So the story told here was interesting too. It seemed set up for Page to win, obviously, and keep his title shot.
And then it doesn't, which I kind of like, because you had the Stadium Stampede, for example, where it's such a predictable outcome.
Yeah.
But then that just, but then this time it didn't happen.
Yeah, and he was trying to set up a title shot for his friends, but Omega's win takes that all away, right? So I think, again, you've got Page getting close, but not being successful, and this will work into his self-doubting character. So I think they'll probably use this going forward.
He couldn't get the job done here, right?
So I think we're still going to end up with the match we want with Page and Omega, and I don't know when, but they're going to extend this a bit longer, and I'm fine. I feel like you contrast this to the Gonzalez-Kai situation we just talked about, and this one's moving nice and slowly and keeps building, and then they rush through the one on NXT, I feel like. So I love this opener. Bottom line. You?
Sorry, I yawned. Wow, what a great opener, I thought. This match was around half an hour long, but it was great. It started off pretty insane and all over the place, but once it calmed down, it was easier to pay attention and watch, but it was entertaining from top to bottom.
Yep.
Silver and Reynolds' combo flurry was good as always. Grayson was able to showcase his strength and athleticism. We got to see Grayson Uno's tag finisher, which I love to see. The Elite hit plenty of super kicks and V-triggers. They were putting over the Dark Order, which that's awesome. And Hangman was over as usual. He really got going towards the end and even got an elimination, but the shenanigans and cheating of the Elite shut that down, which was kind of surprising, but I kind of like that, right? It does add, it's a feather in the cap for them, right? Yep. There was a lot to love here. Probably the longest of AEW TV openers, but it deserves to be up with the best, I think.
I loved it.
The win for the Elite means Hangman loses his title shot and the Dark Order don't get a tag title shot. But I'm sure AEW know how much of a money match Hangman Omega is. And they'll work their way back to it for some time. Hopefully for All Out, because that's in early September, so they have at least another month to build
they'll get
that.
There.
But for now, it's possible that won't happen at All Out.
Yeah.
Next, we get an interview with Pac. Pac says the Lucha Bros are here, but someone anonymous canceled their car, implied to be Andrade.
Mm-hmm.
Chavo comes in, says Andrade's people got the Lucha Bros limo, and then he explains to Pac what a limo is, which I thought was pretty funny.
How could you possibly know? Right.
Andrade tells Pac he better learn how to drive or they'll go get someone who can, or the Lucha Bros will go to someone who can, implying, I'm gonna take your boys.
That's right. So I like the idea of Andrade doing things like this, hoping that the Lucha Brothers will... But
I do not appreciate him trying to split up Death Triangle.
So that they'll sort of start to question Pac's leadership here, and maybe constantly undermining Pac while buttering up the Lucha Brothers could be pretty fun. I like this. I wish Andrade was a bit more clear when he spoke English, because he is tough to understand. They either need to give him a translator,
or
let him speak
Chavo
Spanish and subtitle him or something.
Because Chavo could translate, right?
And Chavo was clearly more directly a heel here, which I appreciated, because last week, as a returning guy, he kind of had to do the babyface thing because he was going to get cheered. But now he seems to be sort of taking a turn. So I thought this was
which
good.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, I like this.
I also thought this was good. I really like Chavo just being such an ass that he had to explain to Pac what a limo is. Like, you really think he doesn't know what a limo is? Like, I thought that was pretty funny. I do kind of like, the undermining Pac thing, but I do not appreciate Andrade trying to split up Death Triangle. Because I don't want them to join Andrade, because Andrade's good, but I would never, ever want to split up the Death Triangle, because it's Death Triangle.
Fair enough.
Andrade can either form Death Rhombus or get out of town.
Okay, that's harsh.
Well, get out of their radius is what I mean.
All right.
If it's not Death Rhombus, I don't want it.
Fair enough.
Next we get Ricky Stark's FTW Championship celebration, and Taz gives him an introduction from an FTW podium.
Yep.
Brass band plays Starks to the ring. Starks tells the crowd to give it up for the band. He says Hobbs would have loved it. I think he said Hobbs would have loved it to be here, but he's out recruiting.
That's what he said, yep. And the band idea was because Starks is from New Orleans, so it was like a New Orleans style sort of play him in.
They didn't do anything with it this show, but Hobbs is out recruiting.
They usually mention stuff like that and come back to it, right? They don't generally throw stuff out for no reason, unless Starks was that was an ad-lib line.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I picked up on that as well.
That could be something.
Could be.
Stark says he won the title 2 weeks ago and they got rid of some garbage in Brian Cage. He says he is a good man. He forgave Cage for costing him the matches and something else that I forgot. But he doesn't forgive Cage for not checking on him when he was injured.
Oh, it was that Cage was too busy sucking up to fans online, basically. He felt like he was busy interacting with people online.
Stark says he knows what teamwork is and what it's like to be a star, and Cage has been trying to figure that out for 17 years, that was a pretty nice burn. Cage comes out and he takes out the band people, even snatching the drum on the one guy. Yeah,
over his head, and then snaps the trombone in the ring.
And then when Cage gets to the ring, Starks throws flowers at him and then just runs away, which I thought was funny. Cause, I guess it was just it was a small distraction.
Yep.
What did you think?
So at some point it seemed like there was audio issues for the crowd in attendance because they were chanting, "We can't hear you," right? And Starks kind of took a shot at them for that. So I don't know, but we heard it all fine. So I thought Starks did a really good job on the mic. I was expecting to nitpick, I guess, a little bit more of a display from Cage. I think he should have taken out every single one of the band members or done something a little bit bigger, but I think the layout here was really smart, right? Starks runs his mouth because that's what he's good at. Cage says nothing because that's not what he's good at. But instead, he brings physicality to the segment, which is what he's good at. So I thought a very smart layout of this segment. They're playing to everybody's strengths here. Looks like we're getting a rematch, obviously, for the belt down the road. I think that's fine. Mid-card feud with some actual stakes, although the belt is kind of made up. And I thought, just as a side note...
But they're both good stars, I think.
I thought Starks looked good with a belt. It fits him, right? So what did you think?
So yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought Stark's promo was good, but wasn't super long, so nothing much to unpack, I think. It was good, but nothing super whatever. I don't really know what I'm looking for, but not much substance, I guess. Or
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I guess we'll go with that. Cage beating up the man was kind of funny, but he probably should have done more. As a whole, the segment didn't do a ton for me, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I just thought Cage was going to come and just blow things up to a big degree. And he kind of approached that, but I thought there'd be more of him just breaking stuff.
Or Starks to talk more. It would be more of a celebration, just a band playing in the ring. He talks.
Something.
I don't know.
But it was okay.
And maybe Taz should have celebrated with him on something, maybe. Next we get a promo from none other than New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hiroshi Tanahashi.
The John Cena of Japan.
Yeah, if you guys don't know who he is, that's a pretty good summary.
Right.
He's
top of the card for
buttload
forever.
Of titles, D1 Climax a few times. He's one of their probably
all-timers.
Biggest stars. Along with maybe Okada, and they made Nakamura too, I think. Yeah. Naito maybe.
Yep.
So he's here for something. What is it? He says he's won a lot of titles. This is basically the gist of it. He says he's won a lot of titles, but he's never held the IWGP US title. And he will challenge the winner of the Archer Hikuleo match.
Yep. I thought that they let him speak Japanese and they subtitled him, which is nice because their emotion
which
and
that
everything
kind of sucks for
back.
note takers because then you have to look at the screen. You can't just like rely on your ears.
If we could type better, it wouldn't be an issue, but we can't, so it is. It's a pretty brief and standard promo, but a nice surprise to see Tanahashi. I'm not a huge fan of him, but like his impact and his prestige is undeniable, right? He's a huge name to have show up on your show. So I thought this was fine.
Yeah. I thought it was a fine promo. Luckily, he spoke in Japanese, which, I mean, subtitles, yeah, but at least, like, he's going to be more comfortable with this, right?
100%.
So that's what I want. It's whatever's easier for them. So I thought it was fine. I'm pretty sure he's going to face Archer at a New Japan event, so I'm not quite sure why this is on AEW, but good for him. It's a really cool appearance, I guess. I haven't seen him a ton, but I know he's, like, a huge guy in Japan, so this is cool. Hopefully maybe he can come to AEW because that's probably more interesting for me. FTR versus Pound and Powerful, their like grudge match, I guess, so to speak, is next. The Pinnacle are decked out in white. Pound and Powerful, FTR are like wearing black trunks, but like MGF and Spears are like wearing all white, and FTR are wearing white jackets. So my description for the match is it was just a short and competitive tag match, full of some tag team offense and some stiff strikes. Notables.
Hurt by an injury, too, a bit. And hurt by an injury a little bit somewhere in here.
Ortiz and Cash Wheeler start the match. A strike exchange is found between Dax, Harwood, and Santana. The Three Amigos by Santana with Ortiz tagging in to kind of assist
helping on the third one, yeah. An
assist sit-up powerbomb by Proud and Powerful. Spinebuster by Dax. Santana has a hot tag flurry. Tope Con Hero by Santana on Cash. A powerbomb by Ortiz and a frog splash by Santana for 2. A German suplex by Santana. Clothesline by Dax. Powerbomb to Dax by Ortiz. Cash hits Ortiz with the Tornado DDT. Santana hits Dax with powerbomb for 2. Small package by Dax for 2. Dax fakes out. Santana hits a DDT. Superplex by Dax, and then there's like a weird inside cradle double pin. And Wheeler is taken out, sent into the post. Superplex by Dax, and Dax takes out Santana and hits a brainbuster to Ortiz for the win.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this match, but the finish came out of nowhere, and it makes sense now that we've sort of looked into it, right? And I was also like, Cash was barely involved in this. I wonder if he was hurt or got hurt.
I did see that he got his arm sliced, but I forgot about it, if I'm being honest.
So yeah, there was a spot where he kind of got knocked off the top and apparently sliced his arm open really badly, so he didn't return to the ring. Nonetheless, I thought Dax looked really good, and I think him and Santana specifically have really good chemistry together. I don't love the result just because I'm hoping that it's Santana and Ortiz's time to sort of ascend to the top of the tag division, but NFTR's already been there. But I thought the match was fun, especially considering they kind of had to call an audible on the finish, I'm sure. But I still enjoyed it. I thought Dax looked really good.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this was good. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't expecting better. But Cash's injury may have played a role in this match. The outcome and just the length. I felt it was a little too short, but because they are like some of this company's best tag teams. Mm-hmm. Good match, but there's more potential in this feud in my opinion.
Yep.
And I think yes, eventually Pound and Powerful need to be at the top. That's where they belong at this point.
And they have both gotten themselves into crazy shape right now.
Right,
so.
and if I had my way, I would have had them at the top like a while ago when they were heels. I love them as a heel team.
And they've been here since day one, right? So they deserve a bit of a run,
like the Inner Circle formed literally on the first Dynamite. And even then, like, they debuted at the first All Out. I remember they attacked, I want to say the Bucks. Whoever won that ladder match. After all I remember, that was really cool. So, yeah, they need to get their moment.
I hope so, too.
Next, we get an interview from Britt Baker. And I do like how they always have Tony Schiavone do her interviews. Yep. Whereas other people, sometimes him, or, like, it's usually Alex Marvez.
It's believable that she would demand somebody, right?
Right.
So.
And they do kind of have, like, that friendship.
Right.
In real life as well. Tony basically just asked for comments on her match with Rose, which actually was pretty good. Baker says Rose does break people, kind of referring to her wrist.
Yep.
But Baker still came out on top. Baker says she still gets hurt with Reba protecting her because everyone is gunning for her, and she kind of implying she needs a bodyguard.
Yeah, she said she needs somebody else to help.
Baker says people are holding their breath for her to fail, and they better be ready to suffocate, which I thought was a pretty good line.
I love that line. I liked her a lot better this week than last. I mean, she's always at least good. I thought this was really good. It was brief. The suffocate line I thought was great, and she's creating a bit of intrigue because I think I picked up on that too. Like, somebody else is coming to sort of help keep her safe.
And so my first guess for that is Jade Cargill, and they kind of worked something out with Mark Sterling. But I also think that might not work because based on Cargill's character, I figured she would probably want to go for the title.
Maybe it's Adam Cole.
He's gonna.
How's his contract? I don't know.
He's gonna protect her from other women. That's
maybe
interesting.
But anyways.
But like that, I could see that as a potential thing. I did like that. This seemed more heel.
Yep.
Because that's what I prefer.
Thought so too.
So I had no problem with this. I liked it.
Me too.
Next we get Tony Khan's announcement delivered to us by Tony Schiavone, and it's about Rampage, which already that's kind of underwhelming to me.
Yes.
Thought it'd be like some sort of show, like special show, or like.
Oh no, but there's definitely a point to this, right?
There is a point to this, yes. The second Rampage episode will be titled The First Dance and will take place in Chicago on August 20th.
So and obviously with
heavy chance for Chick Magnet Phil.
Correct. Chicago made.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, this seems pretty clear, right? Like this WWE might do this and troll their fans and then not deliver CM Punk.
No, this is legit.
But it's
actually happening.
I really don't think AEW will. So this is them, right? And they'll do something else in a couple minutes as well. That they basically want to say, like, let people know CM Punk is coming, but they
don't
also
want to actually let people know.
They also want to keep it a surprise, right? So they're doing their best to promote it, like it's in shows in Chicago, and we're calling it The First Dance. What an odd name for a show, right? Like,
I've never seen Punk, but I do kind of want to see him. It's like it feels like even though AEW hasn't been around for all this time, it feels like this is just years in the making. Like there's been so many rounds of Punk rumors, and like it seems like it's. Like, people always went bananas about these rumors, but it feels like it's actually possible now.
So I was never a huge Punk fan. I think he's really good, and honestly, the pipe bomb and his feud with Cena, like, reignited sort of my love for wrestling at a time, because that stuff was amazing. But for me, I think it's different because I'm old enough that I saw all of these guys that are returning in their first run, so I'm good. Like, I don't need, you know what I mean? I don't need any of them back. I'd rather just somebody new and different, or push somebody to a new level, because everybody's taken up a spot. So that's kind of my default setting on all these returns. Is I was lucky enough or old enough or whatever you want to say to see them all in their prime on their first time, so I'm good. But younger people like you or lapsed fans or whatever, that's probably pretty exciting. For me, it's just kind of whatever.
And I think there's a difference, because obviously, like, I don't want to see Christian. I have no interest in Christian, but I do want to see Punk.
Yeah, that's fair.
And since his theme is a real song, they can do it. And Tony Khan seems to be willing to do that.
I think they will.
I think, and I would want to see him come to AEW just to hear Cult of Personality.
He's coming. Well, you're gonna get him. So.
And so I just wrote, we all know where this is going, but it should be pretty epic. Like, it'll be a big moment. The crowd's gonna go.
It'll be
bananas.
Like major news, and that's AEW will get some serious attention from this. So that's good for them. And I mean, it might lead to some cool matches and feuds and stuff.
I also just hope Punk has something left in the tank, right? Because that's like
apparently he's in very good shape, so that's a start.
I mean, hey, if Christian Cage is like, Punk should be fine.
Yep.
Alex Marvez asked Sting and Darby Allin about the thing that we just saw, which is really odd. Imagine CM Punk versus Sting.
No, thank you.
That would be so bad.
No,
why did I even say that?
Yeah. Put that into the universe.
Darby says he's been in Chicago and he's been around a lot of people who claim to be the greatest, and you come to prove it in AEW, even if you think you're the best in the world.
Yep.
Ooh, and I just wrote, let the teases continue.
So I think they're working the crowd beautifully here, right? This is the perfect amount.
You could hear just the crowd go,
perfect amount for Darby to say, he delivered it really well. They just wanted to strike that nail one more time, right? We just hinted that he's coming, so now we want to let you know that wasn't an accident. There's another reference coming right after it. So again, just promoting his arrival as much as they can without actually admitting he's coming. I think they're, regardless of how I feel about Punk coming, I think they're doing a really good job of walking that line of, yes, he's coming, but we're not going to tell you.
And I heard, like, TNT's not a fan of, like, the surprises being rung because like they want the hype for it. Like remember when Sting was just like, oh, Sting's here.
Yeah.
So I think this is some of that, right? Like they're like it would be kind of dumb to just be like CM Punk's gonna be here in a couple weeks.
They wouldn't do that, no.
Right? Like so,
but
it's
yet
like,
they still want to get the eyes on the show by implying heavily that he is coming, right?
Right. Like it's like I've seen these videos on like Instagram where it's like, tell me blah 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 without telling me blah blah blah. It's kind of like it's like, tell me CM Punk's coming without telling me that CM Punk's coming. Right?
Because if this were WWE, I'd still be saying I'm not sure, because they're the type that'll be like, haha fans, we made you want something and we're not giving it to you. But Dynamite, like, AEW's not doing that.
Like a match result or a storyline thing is leaked, and so they purposely don't do it.
I feel like honestly Vince does not respect generally the fans or a lot of people.
Or he doesn't like, and I think he just doesn't want like stuff out. Whereas like I think they need to realize that like, that creates buzz, that makes it better, you know.
He doesn't care. He's got his $1,000,000,000 contracts.
He's got his stuff already.
Their ratings
right?
bottom out, and they sign bigger deals. It doesn't matter.
To hell
what he does.
with the buzz.
Anyways, keep going.
I wrote like also I think Darby versus Punk would be a cool match, but the only issues would be there's only one result. Hopefully it's just like another tease, and like I don't think this needs to be Punk's first program.
No, it probably wouldn't.
I don't know who I would want him to face, honestly.
I don't know.
Kip Sabian.
This is running long. Keep going.
Lance Archer versus Hikuleo for the IWGP United States Championship.
I'd never seen Hikuleo. Was very interested in seeing him. We'll get my thoughts in a minute.
I too was kind of interested.
He's really big.
I thought don't ask why, because I don't even really know Bullet Club. I don't really watch New Japan. He does not look that Bullet Club. I don't know. I don't
know what that means, but
he just doesn't look like he's
in the Bullet Club. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really follow it anymore. So
I was hoping you would use the Bullet Club theme,
but he showed up with Haku, which was cool.
Yeah, I was like, it's your boy Haku.
Yep.
This is a short and hard-hitting Haas fight where the champion mostly dominated. I've got like 6 notables.
There wasn't a lot.
Corner charging elbows by Archer. Crowd count punches by Archer, which are stopped by Hikuleo with a sit-up powerbomb for 2. Scoop slammed by Hikuleo after some forearms by Archer. And that's where my Hikuleo notes end.
Yep.
Short arm clotheslines by Archer. A rope-walk moonsault by Archer. Superplex by Archer for 2. And he hits the blackout to retain his title. So I thought this was fine, although Hikuleo did not get much. I guess Archer is the bigger star, but I would have liked to have seen more from Hikuleo to see what he's like.
I don't think he's capable of more.
I guess.
That's what I'm getting out of this.
That's fair. I would want to see more, at least to like firmly make that conclusion.
Because
you
debut on a major show in the States, and this is, anyways.
Yeah,
you could finish up.
I would want like I guess if that's the case, I want more, just like so then I can.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not even 100% sure that's the case. I want to be sure of something.
Make a more informed decision.
Yeah, I want to be sure of something.
Yep.
This is pretty short, mostly one-sided, so really not a ton to say.
I did not think this was very good. I think it kind of sucked the energy out of the crowd because they were hyped coming into this, and with the opening match and all the Punk talk, and now they're just kind of sitting there. I wasn't really impressed with Hikuleo, to be honest. He seemed really green, not very fluid at all. And compared to Archer's last match, and even other matches on the show this far today, it wasn't great. I don't really blame Archer, because even JR multiple times, this is bowling shoe ugly. This is an ugly match. You know what he's really saying, and I don't really disagree with them. I think Hikuleo has a ways to go, in my opinion. It felt like WWE putting Omos or Commander Aziz out there before they really should be, just because they're
they
like
already
humongous.
Did that with Omos.
So to be fair, like you're saying, this is my first time seeing Hikuleo. Maybe this was an off night, but I don't think he looked very good at all here.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Next we get Cody Rhodes interviewed while he's sitting with Tony Khan. It said like owner above Tony Khan, and then like something on Cody.
I didn't notice.
I don't remember. As he would speak, he gets kicked by Malachi Black. I wrote Malachi Black. Yep, that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
They brawl out to the entranceway, and it seemed like they were booing Cody when he was in control, and then when Black hit him,
they were chanting for him.
They cheered Black and chanted for him, which that's really funny.
They could pull off a rare double turn. It's hard to do. You could do it here.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Although I think Black would be so cool as like a...
He's your anti-hero, I feel like.
Yeah.
He's a perfect candidate.
Yeah, because you can just come, boom, Black Mass.
Do heel stuff, but still for a good reason and be cheered.
He'd hit a Black Mass on Fuego del Sol.
Did he ever?
It was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I liked it.
Yep. I like this a lot. I don't think these guys need to talk anymore. I'm already into this match. There was good physicality here. A great kick by the end from Malachi Black that looked amazing. And I'm actually pretty hyped for this match, and it involves Cody. But coming off that speaking segment a couple weeks ago, I'm into this. So
right.
I thought this
Cody's
was good.
like, I think your gripe, our gripe is it's like it's not an in-ring thing, right? So
no. And I even liked the segment where he gave the promo, whatever. So I'm in for this. I thought this was a good segment.
I thought this was a fine way to build the match. I find it very funny. The crowd is cheering Black, and they're booing Cody, but whatever.
Yep.
And I also chuckle at the Black Mask because he destroyed Fuego del Sol.
He did.
Next, we get a promo from Miro. He says the TNT title is known for open challenges until he became champion, and the challenges magically stopped, which I thought was like a funny way of saying
that good.
The best.
Yeah, suddenly the open challenge, no one wants to take it.
He says
What's
Lee
the coincidence?
Johnson can't take it away from him, and nobody can. Gee, wonder who he's facing.
Right.
He says a glorious reckoning is upon Lee, and this is the word of the Redeemer. And all I have to say is Lee Johnson. Wow, I guess Miro's losing the title then.
I think that this is the message. The message, right, is that everyone's afraid of Miro, so he has to accept lesser competition. And if that's what they're doing, I like it, right? Because he's saying all of you, and maybe he's lying, and it's going to turn out he's avoiding good competition, which is fine too. But for now, he's basically saying like this is an open challenge, and suddenly nobody wants to challenge, right? So they found a heel way of him doing the babyface gimmick too, where he fights everybody, which I think is clever. So I thought this was fine. It wasn't my favorite Miro promo, but I'm interested to see what they're doing with this.
I do like the concept of him like fighting lesser opponents, but sometimes it also is like I want to see him in some good matches.
Well, it kind of makes the rest of the roster look a little weak if he's right about them all. Like nobody good is stepping up. Like it doesn't help them. You know what I mean? It makes him look cool, but it doesn't help any of the major talent that should be stepping up to challenge him.
Right.
But it could turn out that
like his only major defense is against Archer at Double or Nothing, which even then that was a short pay-per-view match, right?
Yep. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. Next we get HFO, which is her Hardy family office, represented by Angelico and Private Party, taking on the team of Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. Mm-hmm. Of course, Cage is entering last and on his own.
Of course.
He can leave any time. Just saying.
Yep.
Description was a short match where the clearly superior team got the majority of an offense, almost an enhancement match, I would say.
Close. Yep.
Cage and Angelico start the match, and commentary mentioned this, and I was very mad. With Dark Order's loss in the opener, Christian Cage is ranked number 2 in AEW.
Of course.
In 2021, what is wrestling?
How many matches has he had even?
That's a good
Honestly,
question.
That is a good question. Right. All the internet matches.
Maybe. Or
1,000
it's
of them,
like people are losing more on other stuff, and he hasn't had that many matches, but he's undefeated, so...
I guess. Yep.
But like,
get ready.
How the hell is this guy, like, Christian Cage, an Attitude Era star, ranked number 2 in a promotion...
You're gonna get that with Punk, and you're gonna be fine with it, so...
But, like,
or
he's
Brian.
old.
So are they.
No, but they're at least from around this era. Like, they've been wrestling for, like, the 20...
I would suggest they're pretty similar in age, but I don't know offhand.
Nah.
I can look it up. I can fact check it.
Flippy Doodad arm drag and dropkick by Jungle Boy. Hardy gets a cheap shot on Jungle Boy and then runs away from Cage and Marco stunt. Cassidy chokes Jungle Boy with his do-rag. Luchasaurus makes a hot tag and goes on a tear. Luchasaurus hits a triple German suplex on HFO. Private Party simultaneously flip out of a choke slam and hit Luchasaurus with a super kick enziguri combo. Choke slam by Luchasaurus. And of course, Cage has to get the pin with the frog splash for the win.
So they're all over 40, but Cage is the oldest. So
Blade, after the
oh yeah,
match.
Blade attack.
Actually, a brass knucks attack from Blade.
Ironically, the Blade's weapon of choice is brass knuckles and not a knife.
Attack with a blade, man. Come on.
I didn't think there was very much to this match. Honestly, Private Party working as heels is just... I think we're done with that experiment.
How have they, how have they managed to make these guys so boring?
I thought Jungle Boy looked good. Luchasaurus got an impressive sequence for a little bit there. Cage did almost nothing other than pick up the win. A Hardy family are pretty much jobbers at this point, right? They're like on the level of QT's group and only a tiny bit more interesting. So I did not think this was anything special. I don't know about you.
I want to make like a comparison of them, but yeah, I guess like they're like around the factory, but like
I think so.
I'm trying to think there is something in AEW that I could compare them to, but I can't think of it. But I thought it was like it was just an enhancement match almost. Like it wasn't that interesting.
It was not.
And of course Cage got the pin. Like there was just not much to it. It's too short to do anything. Like Private Party used to be so interesting. They were like, sure, they were a little green, but they were hot prospects. You know, like they beat the Bucks in that tag tournament. They're just like these exciting baby faces, and they've just managed to make them so damn dull. They even took away their cool ring attire, like.
And maybe it sets them up for a hot turn on Hardy, and then they go back to babyface.
They're sick of like him taking percentage of their money, but they're losing all the time, right?
But as of now, it's not working. They need to go do something else.
Yeah,
I think,
it's really not working.
But again, the tag division is stacked, so there's not a lot of room there either. So
and HFO were definitely treated like jobbers, which I mean, can you say they've been treated much better as of late? Next we get promo from Nick Gage, which is good because I don't.
Yeah, I don't know much about him other than reputation. I don't know anything about him.
He asked Jericho what he thinks he's going to do to him that hasn't already been done to him, which I thought that was a good line. He's like, because he's probably been through a lot of crazy stuff.
He has.
He says he's here tonight to make sure Jericho doesn't see labor number 3 because he's the deathmatch king. He says Jericho will feel pain for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I thought this was a cool little package. It wasn't too long, and it was pretty much what I expected and what we needed, so that anybody that doesn't know him at all gets a little bit of info going into this, so I thought this was good.
Yeah, I also liked it. I thought it was a good promo and helpful for people like me who don't know much about him other than reputation and who haven't seen him before, right?
And I think that was the whole point, so that it was successful,
I
think.
And I liked it. He sounded good. Like, it was good. Next we get Thunder Rosa versus Julia Hart, accompanied by the Varsity Blondes. Both get quick pre-match, pre-filmed promos.
Yeah.
Description: squash match with a weak finisher ending.
Yep.
Mat wrestling and a pin attempt by Rosa. Chop by Rosa. Corner chop and uppercut by Rosa. Corner clothesline and slingshot double knees by Rosa. Ankle pick knee bar by Rosa. Hart gets a rope break. Running corner basement dropkick by Rosa. And the Fire Thunder Driver by Rosa for the win.
Struggled a bit to get her up for the Fire Thunder Driver.
Right, and if I had to describe this as an actual move, it's like she's kind of got her in a power slam, but like kind of over the shoulder, but then like also her head.
It's almost like an inverted white noise or air raid crash.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Or it's like, and it's kind of like a power slam where Rosa lands on her knees.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good.
I didn't think this match was good either. Mostly, I'm gonna say because Hart is so inexperienced. I think to the point where it limits what Thunder Rosa can do as well.
And where they have to keep mentioning it.
This was nothing really more than a basic match to officially welcome Thunder Rosa to the AEW roster because she is there
even
officially.
Then, if she's so good, like you should welcome her with something worth her time.
And it gets Hart some experience in TV time against a major star. The crowd wanted to get into this for Thunder Rosa because they started out chanting for her, but the quality of the match just kind of took them out of it, and I don't blame them. This is not how I would have used Thunder Rosa either, but that's what we got. It wasn't great.
Mm-hmm. I don't really have much to say about a squash match other than, in this case, I thought Rosa's finisher looked really weak. It looked like a sit-up power slam, except she fell on her knees. It looked like a less effective power slam kind of thing. And yes, the squash match thing is hindered by Hart's inexperience. And I feel like if this is Rosa's, like, really, like, welcome to the roster, like, I feel like she should have a cool match. Like,
maybe they thought this would be cool. I don't know.
Even just, like, an entertaining little TV match. I'm not saying she has to have something like her Baker matches, but, like, something worth her time. Something worth my time, you know? Like, not just a squash match.
I don't find Hart ready for TV.
This is the kind of things that should be on Dark.
Exactly what I was going to say. Dark and Elevation, go nuts, but not here. I didn't I didn't appreciate this, to be honest.
This is literally a Dark match. I think this is the exact what it is. Next week for our AEW Dynamite Homecoming show, not the most interesting lineup.
It didn't seem
Malachi
great.
Black versus Cody Rhodes. That's gonna be.
I'm looking forward to that.
That I'm looking forward to. Miro versus Lee Johnson for the TNT title.
Remember, no one will face Miro, so he's got to go deep into the bag.
I know why they're doing it, but.
And I don't hate Lee Johnson like you do either. So.
I don't even hate him that much. I just don't really love him, and I just want because Miro's good, so I think he should. I just want him to have some good matches against.
But the story is he can't. So let's see where that story goes. The story is no one good wants to fight him.
Bored of that a little.
Okay.
And then we're getting Bunny versus Layla Hirsch
in an eliminator match.
An eliminator match involving the NWA Women's Championship.
Right.
So
which is Camille right now.
Gets a title shot against Camille,
who is a freaking powerhouse.
If this against Layla Hirsch.
Yeah.
This would have made more sense if it was against, like, if Serena Deeb was still champion. So this is kind of implying that the Forbidden Door is now opening more to the NWA.
I think so.
Which it already kind of was with Deeb winning the title and Rosa being here before she signed.
Yep.
So that's cool, because like that's kind of like a more of a confirmation.
And you're giving back a little to NWA if you're AEW, because now I'm sure whoever this is goes there and loses to Camille, and she can add that to her resume, like she's beaten AEW
especially if she's facing
stars.
I would assume it's Layla Hirsch. Like she would look really good against Layla Hirsch.
So I think that's just they're giving back a little.
Then are you ready for our other big match?
Yep.
Christian Cage versus the Blade.
Absolutely. Christian needs to pick up another win and maintain his number one contender status. So there's that.
He needs to get up there. Otherwise, or he needs to actually, no, I think he should lose a bunch and fall to number 5.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. Gets you the same place.
Yep. I'm not going to actually talk anymore about the match because who cares?
Yep.
Next we get Jon Moxley promo.
This was insane. I don't know if this happened everywhere or just in Canada or what, but anyways.
Didn't you say
I found the rest of the promo online,
Mox says last time he was seen, he was crawling out of barbed wire. He talks about how Olympians are able to get into Japan, and he's not. He says the second he loses the U.S. title, Tanahashi shows up looking for it, which that's a good point. Yep. He says Tanahashi's been dodging him for months, and he says Tanahashi's dead to him. And it's cut off by a picture-in-picture break, which also skips over the entrances for the main event.
So we got not announced commercial or anything. It just, in the middle of a Moxley sentence, goes to a commercial. So we get picture-in-picture, but no audio. So we missed the last, I don't know, probably only 20, 30 seconds of his promo. But from what I even saw, I loved it. I like comparing himself to Olympic athletes regarding travel makes sense. He's been trying to get over there to wrestle. He's not allowed, but now all these athletes are. I like that. I also really liked him pointing out Tanahashi shows up the week after he loses his belt and then tells us that Tanahashi's kind of been ducking him forever. So, like, simple, believable way to start a feud, and I just like...
And a realistic issue. Like,
that's my favorite, right? So leave it to Moxley, right? Cut one promo, and I'm interested in a feud in a match that I didn't even know I wanted, because I'm not a huge...
You're not even, like, you're not a big Tanahashi fan.
But, like, this makes sense. Hey, you've been ducking me forever. I finally lose. You show up, right? And it's convenient, because I can't travel to you to get at you, but suddenly once it's not me you have to fight, you find your way over to America, right? So I thought that was cool.
Archer and him are having the match actually at a New Japan event.
Yeah.
That might be in the US, I don't know. Resurgence, I think it is.
Yep.
Archer versus Tanahashi.
So we missed the last 30 seconds of Mox's promo, but I thought it was classic Mox. He built a match, he put a guy over, and away we go. I think that's almost a testament
to his ability that we still liked it, even though we didn't even get the full thing.
Just made sense. I liked where he was going with it.
I thought, so it was odd that we got it cut off, but for what we got, I still liked it as well. I assume this will take us to a Mox versus Tanahashi match, maybe, perhaps at All Out, which I think that would be a really nice crossover, because regardless of how you feel about Tanahashi, he's one of their biggest guys.
Oh, yeah.
And if they can bring him over here, that's like, I keep saying I want this partnership to get going, and Hikuleo is a small first step, and I think Tanahashi, that's how you know it's really getting going,
It's pretty weird to think that Impact has had much better.
I know. They
New
got,
Japan.
They had guys, the tag team titles. They had,
ELP.
They have ELP, yeah.
Jay
Kojima.
White.
They got Jay freaking White.
Yep.
How did AEW not get Jay White?
I know.
Impact got Jay. But, so, Tanahashi gets there, that opens the door for so many of these top guys, like Okada.
Yep.
If Ibushi gets better, hopefully he does, because there's a lot of stuff I want to see him involved with.
Yep.
I really didn't love it getting cut off, because I really like this.
Me too, I was super into it.
But I think it was just our thing, because you were able to find the rest of the promo.
Yeah, and then later on in the main event, there's actually a spot where they tell us we're going to a commercial, and we don't, so it's almost like that's the one they made up for, sort of thing.
Yeah. The main event, we get the Painmaker persona version of Chris
at
Jericho.
The risk of sounding unpopular opinion, the Painmaker version of Jericho is lame, I think. I don't know.
It's just clown paint.
Right. Like, I don't know if he's trying to make it serious or if he knows it's kind of funny, but anyways, I don't think it's not scary or intimidating.
Especially because of how bloody he was. You couldn't even see the damn paint.
I think it's a lame variation of his character, which are normally pretty solid.
He's taken on the Deathmatch King, Nick Gage, in the Labors of Jericho, Chapter 2, which is a no-rules match.
Right, and MJF's coming out to join commentary with his bucket of popcorn for this one.
That was pretty funny. This is basically a death match where the competitor who is more experienced in the field was in control most.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho gets sliced with Gage's pizza cutter in the arm right away.
To show us it's real, right? Like, oh, look, I got a cut. It's real. It's real.
Yeah. I guess kind of like maybe because there's times where it isn't. Because like remember.
Well, yeah,
like,
when he's raking it across your head, I don't think it's actually.
No, but like
it.
I mean like or like something like an impact. Remember with the staple gun?
Yep.
And it's like it's obviously not.
Right.
But like.
Still a cool visual.
Right. A running basement face wash boot in the corner by Gage. You know, like where kind of like I think Dakota Kai does.
She does.
Superplex by Gage. And a iffy Falcon Arrow.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty iffy. Yeah.
I don't know if that was on purpose because he's like not really a wrestler.
Not shockingly, he did not appear to be much of a technician. No.
Yeah. Gage gets a rope break on the walls of Jericho, but doesn't count, so he finds another way out. Gage shoves Jericho into the ring post and pulls on some light tubes. A deathmatch classic.
Yes.
I only know that because I watch videos about like different Japanese deathmatch types, and there's one that's like a 445 light tubes match, and it's just like a bunch of light tubes stacked around the ring. And I'd watch like they played clips in the video. It's just like there's so many shards.
There are.
Jericho gets some bat shots on Gage after Gage was like he was getting a lot of light tubes. Well, actually, like a few. Backbreaker by Gage, kind of like an Iranagi chokeslam backbreaker.
Chokebreaker is what Excalibur educated us.
Gage goes after Jericho's cut with the pizza cutter, like a lot.
Yes.
Like, a lot.
Yep.
Gage gets a bunch of steel chairs, a chair-assisted like standing elbow drop by Gage, and Gage gets a ringside worker to grab a glass pane while he sets up steel chairs to put the glass pane on.
Yep.
And Jericho, of course, has to hit a Frankenstein through that, which was a match highlight.
Yeah, so he sends Gage through it. Jericho does not go through the glass. Only Gage does.
To clarify.
Yep.
Which got him a 2 count. It was pretty nice.
That was the spot of the match.
You could telegraph it, but yes, that was the match highlight.
I think.
Jericho goes for a code breaker, but Gage catches it and kind of powerbomb-esque slams him on to the broken glass, which is pretty nice. Gage hits Jericho with a light tube on the back, and then he hits him with another one on his head, which is pretty nice. And MJF was just like so happy. Which
He was.
I thought that was a really nice. He's just like so happy. He's like just cheering Gage on, like as he's beating on Jericho. I really like that. A pile driver on the broken glass by Gage for 2. Gage stabs at Jericho's face with the broken light tube piece. A lot of face stabbing and whatnot. Gage grabs a couple of taped together light tube bundles. Jericho spits miss at Gage and hits him with one of those, and then hits the juice effect to get the win. I'll cover the post match real quick.
Yeah.
MJF says they both know Jericho won't make it to wrestle MJF. He reveals label number 3 will be Jericho has to win with a top rope move. And he will face an old rival, Juventud Guerrera.
Because Jericho made a reference to him a few weeks ago in a promo.
No, that was like last year.
Oh, a long time ago. He made a reference to Hoovy. So Hoovy's coming back. I don't know. This match was never going to be for me. Death matches, I'm probably take heat, but it's kind of like you've seen one, you've seen them all.
There's a lot of because Jericho had the AEW belt.
Right. So basically, the King of the Death match comes to AEW, and in my opinion, has one of the weaker no DQ matches that AEW has offered us. If I really were to think about it, I wasn't a huge fan of this match. It was really slow at the beginning. There was nothing crazy shocking compared to some other DQ matches in this company. I just didn't like it.
Texas Death Match.
Yeah, which is a very recent comparison.
Like last week.
A lot of the opening was Gage just going to get stuff and then just using it in a really basic manner. Get light tube, hit with light tube, right?
I guess maybe he was what I thought maybe he's toning it down for
probably
TV.
The glass spot was, I guess, impressive. The rest was pretty basic. Light tubes don't do much for me anymore at this point. Neither does this type of match.
You watched a lot of death matches?
To be honest, I've seen a lot in my life.
Really?
The talent for these guys lies in the being willing to do it. Right? But there's not actual much talent in what they're doing, like hitting a guy with a light tube or falling through a glass, whatever. Like, the hardest part is just being willing to do it, which is something because I'm not willing to, but I get tired of watching it. It's not that exciting for me to watch. The latter part of the match was better. Some more stuff happened. The crowd seemed pretty into it, so what do I know, really?
Just because I think they're really excited to see Nick Gage, and they seem to love Jericho, right?
So the next labor could be interesting. Hoovy was amazing at one point, and MJF is forcing the aging Jericho out of his comfort zone, right? By making him do a high-flying match where he has to hit a top rope finisher. So I have no idea if
I could see him
Hoovy's
hitting an avalanche codebreaker.
I have no idea if Hoovy's wrestling now or in shape, but I imagine he must be if they're going to bring him in. I'm kind of interested to see him for one match, but please don't sign Juventud Guerrera at this point. Right. Anyways, what did you think of this? So, basically, this main event wasn't for me. Right. I didn't love it, but I didn't expect to.
Quick question. Did you watch Japanese death matches?
A little bit, yeah. Like, kind of anything. Indie stuff, Japanese stuff. I can't remember, but I know there was a time where I thought that stuff was cool, and then I just got bored. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I thought this was good enough. I could tell it was, like, kind of toned down. I guarantee Gage's matches are usually crazier than this, probably.
Like CZW used to have some crazy stuff I've seen, for example.
Yeah. Didn't Mox lose a nipple or whatever?
Mox was there, yeah.
Or something. I think there's only a couple spots. Like, the glass thing was pretty nice, and I haven't seen a lot of light tubes, so I kind of like that. As a guy who doesn't really watch death matches, I guess it was fine. But, like, even, like, last week's was better.
Way better.
Right. And there wasn't even, like, that was
the match where the explosion didn't happen at the end was way better.
Yeah, and, like, this one had, like, stuff we haven't seen in AEW before. Like, the glass and light tubes. The street fight with Pride
and Powerful against Best Friends was way better.
The parking lot brawl?
Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker was way better.
I like the bunkhouse match better.
Right? Bunkhouse, I do, too. So there's, like, pretty much every other extreme match they've had I prefer to this.
Yeah, or,
because it was wrestling mixed with stuff. This was just stuff, because Nick Gage did not really wrestle.
Yeah, that's definitely not Gage's thing.
Right.
Not my favorite match, but I'm not going to say it was bad, just really not
for
my
me.
Thing. I kind of like the light tubes in the glass wall, because I guess it kind of separates it from other stuff, but, like, I feel like it's kind of odd that, like, this brought in some new stuff to AEW, but, like, still wasn't as good.
Right.
Labor number 3 isn't the most interesting. I guess it does take him out of his comfort zone a bit. I don't know how good Hoovy is right now, but I guess we'll find out.
I assume he's serviceable. He's got to at least be decent or they wouldn't book it, I don't think.
What are your thoughts on the show as a whole?
Overall, I really liked a lot of things on this show, but I did have some issues with a few things. So in-ring, I like to divide it that way, in-ring and segment now. So in-ring, loved the opener, loved it.
Yeah, I kind of go, like, down the show.
I liked FTR and Santana and Ortiz.
Kind of powerful.
Despite Cash's injury, I still thought it was a good match. Then I thought there was a lull match-wise with Hikuleo, Archer, not great. Private Party, Luchasaurus, Jurassic Express, not great. Thunder Rosa Hart match, not great. Then the main event was fine. I'm not going to say it was bad. It's just not a match that's for me, so I was kind of bored throughout it. Segment-wise, I thought the show was stronger. I love the introductory package and entrances. I'm going to consider those a segment before the opener. Britt Baker segment was really good. Moxley was really good despite getting cut off for us. The Cody Black segment was all I needed it to be. Tanahashi's arrival is kind of a nice surprise. Darby's quick tease of CM Punk along with the Chicago announcement was effective, I thought. Miro's promo was fine, but not his best. So I thought despite some weaker matches being on this show, the promos and segments along with the opener that I loved made it a highly watchable show for me. It felt like so much less of a chore than NXT this week. I actually gave this show a B+. And if one or two of the matches were a little bit better, it's in the A range, but I thought in-ring it was not their best effort. Mm-hmm. What about you?
The opener was awesome. It was a match of the night. Match of the year contender, I guess, maybe?
Match of the week for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think easily. You can throw it up in match of the year contender, maybe. Action was all over the place. It had high stakes. The crowd was invested. Even had a somewhat surprising ending, as the results would make you, or like the stakes would make you think that it's a win for the Dark Order.
And I love that they stole a WWE style match and made it good. That's one of my things I really like about it.
Made you care about it, right? Yep. It does complicate things, but it should also make the storyline more interesting as a result. I like Pac's interview with Andrade and Chavo involved.
Me
the Ricky Stark celebration was okay, but it was really much celebration. Right. Just kind of an excuse to get a promo. FTR vs. Pound Powerful is good for what it was, but it did kind of get cut off abruptly.
Yes.
I guess the finish was probably changed on the fly due to an injury to Cash, but I think he's fine.
I would assume.
Tanahashi's promo was fine, but he's not going to AEW, I don't think, yet, so it doesn't really affect anything unless he does have a match with Mox, which I would like to see. Britt Baker had a good interview. I always like her stuff. And the Tony Khan announcement felt a little underwhelming at first, but I guess they are starting to hype Punk's AEW debut.
Yeah, they sure are.
So I guess I get why it was the announcement. I like Darby's little promo as well too. Like, he doesn't need to speak a ton.
No.
So he got as much as was necessary. Archer vs. Hikuleo was an okay hoss fight, but it was a little too one-sided for someone debuting. Wasn't anything special. Bit of a lull in the show. Rhodes and Black segment I agree was simple, and it did what it needed to do. Just building this feud a little more until we get to the match next week. Miro's promo was also good, and the trios match was okay, but an enhancement match at most. I quite like Nick Gage's promo, as I've never actually seen him before. Thunder vs. Squash match wasn't really much, and the finisher wasn't great, so I guess if it's possible, dislike a squash match. There you go.
Yeah,
I would say it's something better for the women's division, or even just something better for Rose's first match as a member of the roster.
Right.
Mox's promo was good, even though we got it cut off. Like, I think that's just a testament to how good he is. The main event was good, although not particularly my cup of tea. There were some good spots, and I can't say it wasn't like a decent no DQ, but labor number 3 isn't the most interesting thing they could come up with, but I just hope Juventud isn't a washed-up old guy and he has something still to give here.
I would assume he does.
Overall, a good show. I don't think it quite cracks the A range, like you said.
I agree.
So I'm going to also agree with the B+.
Nice. All right, well, that finishes up us talking about NXT and AEW, and we will transition into our next segment where we talk about some other wrestling stuff that interests us, and that is what we call any other wrestling business. So we're going to switch up the order a bit this week and go with Jack first. Going to talk about your Pro Wrestling Rewind match. Am I correct? And then
22.
I'll talk about some Impact after.
Yes,
okay.
Number 22 from Battleground 2016.
That's right.
Match I remember fondly from my childhood. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. This was like not too long into my wrestling fandom.
2016, yeah.
Yeah, I started like just before WrestleMania 32.
Right.
So this was like I remember I watched this like a bunch because I remember it was like 3 days before my birthday.
Right.
And
we did.
Yeah, and so I was 8. I was almost 9 around this time.
Aw.
Yeah.
Adorable.
So my notes, I have not necessarily.
Do you want my background info that I
notes.
got? My quick 1-sentence summary of their background here.
Sure, and then I'll try to do it off my head.
Okay, so Owens and Zayn, leading into this, have cost each other in order. So this is sort of, they've been friends forever, right, and traveled the world wrestling together. But WWE canon-wise, in order, they've cost each other the NXT Championship.
Right, which was that was like their original, if you remember. Zayn won it, and then that was the original heel turn from Owens, and then he took it.
He powerbombed him on the apron, right?
Right, and then he took the title.
Right. Then we've got the WWE Championship.
Which I believe there was a tournament after Seth Rollins got injured, because that was the one that Roman won.
Right.
And then, so I think my guess is that they're involved in that. I honestly don't know.
The Intercontinental Championship twice, it says.
So Owens was champ in like late 2015. He lost it to Ambrose at TLC.
Right.
I think Ambrose either won it back or Ambrose retained it in a last minute standing match at Royal Rumble. Owens won in like a 5-way on SmackDown, I want to say.
Right.
And then Zayn kind of cost him it in the ladder match at WrestleMania 32, which Zack Ryder won.
And finally, the Money in the Bank contract.
They were both involved in that match.
And I think
which Ambrose won.
I think Zayn eliminated, but like took Owens out from a near whatever. I think is
and
the point.
Zayn eliminated from the Rumble, which was Zayn's return actually.
So lots of history between these guys, both in real life and in kayfabe, as they say. So leading into this match at Battleground.
So there was in kayfabe they said Owens injured Zayn, but it came like he was gesturing to the crowd before.
Yeah, just in his entrance. I remember that actually.
Yeah, he was answering Cena's U.S. Open challenge.
And Sammy tends to like wave his arms around like crazy, and he'd like wrecked his shoulder doing that. I remember, right?
That's crazy because he just like all the time. Or
does he still do it? Does he do it since then? I haven't noticed. I would think he wouldn't, but
a little less.
Yeah,
but I remember he did that all the time.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and so then that he returned at the Rumble, and like I always like when they like Owens would see him like they do like that because they always were hitting each other like at the exact same time. They're just like.
And I love these two guys, especially together. And this is honestly my preferred roles with Owens as a heel and Zayn as a babyface because Zayn is an amazing babyface. It also reminded me, I hearken back to when, because you were new to wrestling and you were kind of like. the kid that hated the heels and loved the baby faces still. So you used to hate Kevin Owens. And I remember he was my favorite wrestler, basically, and you couldn't stand him.
Oh, yeah. And I remember I hated Triple H because he was WWE champion for some reason.
Yep. You were new and you were just like, I like the good guys and I hate the bad guys. And that is like the entry point for most people.
And the funny part about that is I remember when Cena came back because he was injured, I liked him for maybe at least a month. And then I was just like, by the time I think it got to SummerSlam, I was just like, meh.
Yeah, he's just overexposed, right? Like, there's just too much of him. Even if you like him, you're like, I like ice cream too, but I can't eat it every meal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you get tired of it. But anyways, go ahead. Talk about this match.
So notables or condensed notes, I guess.
Yep.
So Zayn charges right away. No one's kind of ducks out of the ring cowardly.
He does.
Leapfrog and a dropkick by Zayn for 1. Cannonball in the corner by Owens for 2. Owens mocks the crowd's Olay chants because that's kind of a...
Yeah, I noticed the crowd was not really into this early, other than there was a little Olay chant. So they were kind of... And I mean, we'll talk about it near the end, but the fans were not into this to start, I didn't think.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
He dropped something, I don't know. It's okay.
I didn't... Owens dropped Zayn, got first on the middle rope, kind of like the suplex. Hang him out to dry, as they say.
Yep.
Kick to the back and a PK by Owens, followed by a signature running senton. Chinlock applied by Owens as he mocks the crowd, chanting for Sammy. Zayn kind of botched like the springboard move on the outside, kind of landed on his bad shoulder.
He did still make contact with Owens with like a kick, but I don't think it clearly wasn't what he had planned to do. But he sort of recovered, I guess.
It would almost be cool if he did plan that because he landed on his injured shoulder. They said.
Oh, so, nice.
I don't think he did, obviously, but like.
But that's a nice pickup by commentary. Then. Yeah.
Owens uses the ring post to work Sami Zayn's arm. Blue Thunder Bomb for 2 by Zayn. They said he couldn't get all of it with his bad arm. Yeah, that's why he didn't win with the Blue Thunder Bomb. They always
act like they're shocked that the Blue Thunder Bomb...
Oh, well, always...
Even though it's never ended a match, they're shocked every time.
Like, when... Oh my god, like, or when Roman Reigns would be surprised, oh my god, he kicked out of a Superman punch. When has that ever ended anything in the history of ever?
I also submit to you the Famouser by Dolph Ziggler.
Oh,
they always act like that should be... That's it!
I want to say Roman Reigns won with a Superman punch once. I remember, I think, once. But I guarantee you, I think it was someone like Elias or something.
Right.
Like, not like, I think it was, I want to say he was facing Rollins or something, maybe. Just like, or someone bigger, like Rusev or something. And he just Superman punches them, and then he's just like, oh, he kicked out. Like,
amazing.
Okay. Yeah, because everyone succumbs to a signature, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nice super kick by Owens for 2. And then after Zayn kicks out, he immediately switches him into a crossface submission.
Yep.
Zayn is able to get the rope break. Exploder suplex into the corner by Zayn, which that always looks nice. I really like that.
Yep.
An apron suplex by Zayn, which that just looks brutal. And I don't know if you know this, but it's the hardest part of the ring.
I actually thought that one was a brainbuster. He kind of dropped him straight down.
Or like it looked like he landed on his back, but like Owens really took it.
It looked good.
I mean, when you take a blow like that on the hardest part of the ring, whoo.
Yep.
Owens is able to barely beat the count out. So Zayn goes for like, if you know Zayn, he had like this move where he goes through he's on the outside and his opponent's on the other side. He dives kind of like through the turnbuckles
and
for
hits a DDT, right? Yep.
But he got caught with the super kick by his Owens, and he hit a cannonball while Zayn's head was in between the turnbuckles. That was pretty nice, and brought him in the ring for a frog splash for 2.
And this is where I noticed the crowd is starting to get into this now,
right? Once it picks up.
They've sort of designed the match this way. It starts out really slowly, and now it's starting to pick up a bit for sure.
An Escalera, kind of like the arm grab, like where you climb up the corner.
Yep.
Into a tornado DDT by Zayn, which it's usually into like an arm jag or Hurricane Rana or something.
Right.
So that's kind of a nice variation. Yeah. Super kick by Owens. Zayn is able to avoid a pop-up powerbomb and hits back-to-back half-and-half suplexes.
Great sequence there.
Back-to-back half-and-half.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Pop-up powerbomb by Owens, but Zayn gets a rope break. I'm used to him, like, because I remember he used to use it a lot because it was his finisher, but I'm not used to him just only using that.
Right. I don't love the stunner finisher now. I like the pop-up powerbomb, but I
don't mind it being there. I'd like the pop-up powerbomb better, though. I remember, like, he was able to hit on, like, Mark Henry.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, he could hit it on almost anyone at that point.
They just have to be able to jump decently.
A little bit. Henry can't really, but...
Mm-hmm. Corner exploder suplex by Zayn, a half-and-half suplex by Zayn, a haluva kick by Zayn, but when Owens goes down, he kind of holds him there to prop him back up.
And almost like thinks about, like, is this enough to finish him? No, it's not. I better go back and do it again.
Right, he hits a second one for the win.
Yeah, I thought this was an excellent match. 2 amazing professional wrestlers. For me, it gets like pushed to the next level by the little things these guys do. Facial expressions, both of them sell really well.
There was just one part where like Owens just kept slapping Zayn. He's like, "Why won't you stay down?"
Yeah.
And he's like telling him to stay
all
down.
That kind of stuff.
That fires Zayn up.
Yep. The history between these two guys, the story being told, that's where these guys excel. There's tons of guys that can wrestle and can execute offensive moves.
And the continuity between NXT and the main roster is really nice.
But it's all the little things that create drama and intrigue and add to matches that these guys understand how to do it. Really built from slow. Like the first few minutes of this, I'm like, really? This is not that great. But then it goes from being really slow to start. Then it's like a little bit quicker. There's the odd big move in there. And then by the end, it's pretty much nonstop action and near falls that looked really good. The crowd, it just kind of mimicked what I was, quiet to start.
They warmed up to it, right? As it gets good.
By the end, there's like fight forever and this is awesome. They were captivated. I thought this was an excellent match and I wish this kind of match would come back again. I gave this an A-. I thought it was about like a 19-minute match in ring time. I thought it was excellent. These guys tell such a good story and it just built and built to a big finish. I really liked it.
This is a great match, and it's so interesting to me to look back on a time not too long ago when main roster wasn't completely crap, and like there were a lot of good matches from this time.
Right.
I thought the Styles and Reigns feud had some good matches. I like Rollins versus Reigns from Money in the Bank. Everyone knows I love the Shield triple threat from this same event. Cena versus Styles had good matches. Like everyone loves those.
Yep.
This feud was good. This is also the year that Charlotte and Sasha feud was great, and Miz was at his peak in this year too, right? Mm-hmm. He feuded with Ziggler. It might be a little nostalgic for me because this is around when I started, but like, there's a lot of good memories for me here, and they're like, there's a lot of good matches here, and they're from main roster too. Like, there was good stuff in NXT.
He says with surprise.
I know, right. And there was like good stuff from NXT, but like, I feel like that's kind of the norm, and like, it's really weird. And I could probably do a whole podcast talking about this year because like, there's a lot of stuff. Like, sure, you had like Triple H still wrestling for some reason, or like they're still trying to push Roman Reigns, but there is still some good stuff in there.
There was.
But back to this match. This was really classic, where it built, and even when it slowed down, it's just so that they could pick back up and do some more cool stuff. Really did get crazy with the action towards the end. There's a lot of cool moves, and I really liked how they kept countering each other's moves because it really illustrates how well they know each other.
Yep.
Overall, I thought this was a really good match, especially for the main roster. I would also give it an A-, actually.
Nice.
I don't get to see a lot of good stuff from the main roster anymore, and this was just like a classic and simple formula put to perfection by two amazing talents with a lot of history together.
Yep, just professionals, man. They know what they're doing. They can grab a crowd when they need to.
And
just
I feel like this is one of those rare times where, like, I think this is one of those good times for the main roster.
Yep, it was. I really liked that match. All right, so let's transition into something current, and I'll talk about this week's offering from Impact Wrestling. You were excited because Jay White was going to be involved, and he starts out
to watch it
pretty much right away. We get a recap of Jay White from last week, trying to recruit Chris Bay into the Bullet Club. And then he headed to the ring, called out David Finlay. He was interrupted by Don Callis and the Good Brothers. They started to brawl, and Chris Bay came down to help Jay White. So again, it's a little bit of the is Bay in Bullet Club, is he not, etc. And that storyline will be sort of explored
He'd be good for
tonight.
Bullet
Club. He would. Gia starts out talking to Scott D'Amore about something big that's in the works for tonight. So D'Amore puts over Impact to start, says there's always something big happening there, sort of like, what do you mean, Gia? There's always something big happening. He complains about being constantly interrupted, as everyone is backstage in Impact, and then Dreamer interrupts him. So Dreamer just randomly is like, hey, we don't have a number one contender for Omega right now. And D'Amore,
I know who it is,
says he's basically too busy and that Dreamer can handle it by himself as D'Amore walks away. So I thought the segment was fine. I think basically all they're doing here is providing like a quick way to explain what might be like an out of the blue choice for an Omega challenger, right? Like they don't really have a story on the go right now.
Is it decided on this show?
It decided how we're getting there, but not who it is. So it's basically no build necessary, right? It's just going to be like Dreamer picked him or made the match or whatever. So, I mean, it could be considered a little bit lazy, but I don't really mind it. If they don't have anything planned out, this is a decent route to go, I guess. But again, it's evident they don't have anything planned right now at the top of the card, which is kind of weird. We then get Jay White and Chris Bay teaming up to face the Good Brothers as sort of an extension of what happened last week. I think it's really cool to see Bay and White together. It's just too bad it's against the Good Brothers because I'm not a big Gallows fan, as you may know, if you listen to this.
I did not know that.
So honestly, this match had a brief bit with Jay White in it to start. Then Chris Bay came in, took a bunch of punishment, finally tagged out. White dominates both of the Good Brothers for a little bit, and then tags Bay back in. And even commentary were questioning how quickly he tagged Bay back in, who had been the guy taking all of the punishment, right? So he gets tagged in a little bit too early. Bay gets beaten down again some more, and then ends up taking the Magic Killer for the pin, and the Good Brothers win.
And they pinned Chris Bay.
The match itself was decent, but that's where my issues lie. I don't think this does Chris Bay any favors. He sort of looked like the X Division guy that can't really hang with the big boys, right? He took the brunt of the punishment here and took the clean pin. I thought White looked good, but he wasn't involved a ton, to be honest with you. And I don't know if it was White being here, but I will say that Gallows actually hit some moves in this match, and moves that he had to hit the mat for as well. So that was something nice for Gallows to see. It was a decent match. I just really, really like Chris Bay, and I think he should be a star for Impact. So I'm not thrilled with the way that this sort of made him look. He needed to be the guy in the supporting and losing role, which wouldn't be my choice. I think this story's okay, but I don't know if you needed Bay to be the one that's in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We then get Fire and Flava. They're backstage talking about their loss in a rematch for the tag team titles. They lost to Havoc and I was going to say Nevaeh, Havoc and Rosemary. But they said the titles will come back where they belong. Fallah Bahh interrupts, because interrupting is the only thing Impact knows how to do backstage. He says, will you go to Homecoming with me, right? So this pay-per-view coming up that's intergender tag matches.
Sort of pay-per-view.
Or tournament, I guess. I don't know what it is. So Hogan assumes he's talking to her. She agrees, but Fallah Bahh then quickly reveals he was actually talking to Tasha Steelz and not Hogan. So Steelz isn't surprised, and this is the little hint here. She isn't surprised Bahh chose her, since she wasn't the one that got pinned last week. Ooh. She is greater than Kiera Hogan, I think is what she's saying. So I thought this segment was good enough. This is sort of the beginning of the write-off of Kiera Hogan, I guess, as she's leaving the company. So she and Steelz need to split. This seems like the beginning of it, right? Basically, Tasha saying, you're the reason we didn't win the belts, back kind of subtly here, which I liked. So I hope Tasha Steelz comes out of this okay when Hogan leaves, because I think she's improved a lot. Ton of charisma and personality, just needs to keep getting better in the ring. And then Fallah Bahh just continues to bounce around into any story that they need him, right? He doesn't really have a defined role other than they need somebody here. So this was okay. We then get a full-on intergender singles match where Caleb with the K, with Tenille Dashwood, is facing Taylor Wilde. So Taylor has issues with Tenille and Caleb, resulting from Tenille's search for a tag partner. Then Taylor Wilde, they made a big deal of her returning. She disappeared from TV for a while. Now she's suddenly back, and they seem to just be sort of picking up where they left off with this story. So it's pretty standard stuff. Caleb pulls her hair, tries to use his fanny pack as a weapon at one point. I don't have too many highlights from this. Pendulum DDT by Wilde on the floor to Caleb. She hit a reverse Rana and a German suplex with a bridge to pick up the win. So my comments were this was pretty standard, like what I would call a non-independent intergender match.
Right.
Where the male gets a tiny bit of offense, but the majority of it is the woman outsmarting him, making him look silly. They just don't like the look of it, and I get it, but then don't do it, right? Either do it or don't do it. This is kind of the halfway, like Caleb gets 3 or 4 things that aren't too devastating. She outsmarts him, gets the clean win. So it wasn't great. As I've said before, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of Taylor Wilde. She hit a couple of cool things, like the reverse Rana looked pretty good. But Caleb was limited by this type of match, right? He can't really showcase himself when he's not supposed to get much accomplished here. So then Chris Bay, back to him. He's backstage sort of owning up to taking the loss tonight in the first match, in what he says, in his first match as a member of Bullet Club. So Jay White takes exception to that, tells Bay he's not in Bullet Club yet. And after what he just saw, Bay is clearly not at the standard at this point, right?
Damn it.
So he will, however, give Bay a chance to redeem himself, and then he just sort of heads off screen to talk about it. He's like, I'll give you a chance to talk about it, and kind of like, let's chat about it as they're walking off screen, so we don't know what they were talking about. Again, I like this idea of a potential Bullet Club member, and Jay White kind of moving the goalpost as what he needs to do to get into the club, but I don't like it being Chris Bay. He should be treated like a star. This isn't star treatment.
Yeah, which is why he's in Bullet Club.
Right? So he's like this lowly competitor begging to join a faction. And also, remember, this is weeks after him going on about working alone, right? And not wanting to join any group. And now he's suddenly hustling to join a group. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there. I hope he comes out of this looking strong somehow. I think the point of bringing in talent from other places isn't to make guys with main event potential on your show look worse, right? The point is Jay White should be...
I think if he's in Bullet Club, it'll make him look good.
But not like you're barely getting in and you keep failing on the way in and you're just letting us down. Yeah, the Good Brothers
loss doesn't help.
Right? So they can still end up making Bay look like a star, but so far I'm not happy with his treatment here. But that's just me loving Chris Bay. Josh Alexander speaks about being the new face of Impact. Again, he feels like the Impact champion is Kenny Omega. He's on another show. He doesn't represent them. Alexander is the X Division champion. He says he's sort of representing the company right now, and he wants more competition doing the fighting champion gimmick right now. Scott D'Amore shows up, says that most people would want some time off after the matches he had, but Alexander does not. So he makes a match that I'm excited for with pretty much no build, but that's okay. Josh Alexander will face Black Taurus, and I'm pretty sure that's at Homecoming, right?
It is. It's the only title match,
and I love Black Taurus.
I saw that like on when I was looking for news. I saw this as a thumbnail. I was just like, oh damn.
So Black Taurus, I've said it a million times. He's one of the most interesting things for me on Impact, but they don't.
You showed me him right when you first saw him, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this match at least.
They don't seem to be too big on him in terms of, like I always say, it feels like his contract is sort of limited with Impact, so they're not focusing on him because talent-wise and like I don't know, I think he should be focused on a lot more.
His mask is so elaborate.
Crazy.
He just looks awesome.
So that match I'm really looking forward to as well. So Josh Alexander, sorry, that was what I just said. We then move to Gia. She's talking to Deonna Purrazzo and suggesting maybe Deonna Purrazzo is doing too much and sort of spreading herself too thin. So obviously that comment is going to annoy Deonna Purrazzo. She says she can do it all, and she's even added training with some MMA person who shows up to stand beside her and say how good Deonna is. I didn't make a note of who it was. I don't really care. They're just obviously trying to get some tie in here. But not only is she doing all the things Gia is indicating, she's doing more, is basically what Purrazzo's trying to say here. She also says, on top of that, she's now entering the Homecoming tournament, but won't announce her partner, so she'll have a mystery partner for that to add a bit of intrigue there. It's always fun. Yes. So I thought another solid promo from Purrazzo. The idea that she is just good enough to do everything and wrestle everywhere, and it's kind of believable to me at this point. I feel like she's kind of doing what Omega's doing, and I like it, right? She's going now to other promotions and defending, and maybe not collecting belts, but being like the dominant woman going other places to wrestle people.
Traveling champion.
So I like it. It's funny because at first, this is my first time watching Impact Live on Twitch because we had a lot of wrestling to get through.
Right.
So at first, I'm not very smart, apparently, because they kept going to these flashbacks. And you know how they always do one every week, and I just don't cover it? But they were doing multiple things until I realized that's them on commercials, right? Because it's also on network TV, and Twitch doesn't have commercials. So anytime there's a commercial break, I was like, man, Impact's getting lazy, and they're just throwing in a whole bunch of these like memories of whatever. But it's because they have to do something, right, while the commercials are on the network. So that is what I imagine.
Smart.
That's what I imagine is happening.
Was it the same thing consistently, or
no? It was like here's a former champion, here's a whatever. It was different little segments. And at first, I just thought they were being lazy, and then it hit me. Oh yeah, because this is on Access TV or whatever, where there are commercials, but the Twitch feed there aren't, so they have to do something.
Right.
So we then get an 8-man tag team match. Fallah Bahh, No Way, teaming up with Finn Juice versus Ace Austin,
No Way Jose,
Madman Fulton, Rohit, and Shera. So Fulton gets isolated early. Babyfaces take turns hitting offense, leading to Bahh being Irish whipped by his teammates into Fulton. Rohit makes a blind tag, sneak attacks Bahh, gives the heels the momentum for a bit. Bahh is isolated. Juice Robinson gets the crowd into rooting for Fallah Bahh, and Bahh finally sits on Ace Austin and tags in David Finlay. Finlay cleans house, hits a big backbreaker to Rohit. Finn Juice take out Fulton, and that gives Rohit a chance to hit some offense on Finlay before No Way flattens Rohit. Austin takes out Fallah Bahh, hits a Fosbury flop over the top rope onto the group. Finlay and Rohit end up in the ring, and they have a really nice, quick exchange. Finlay finally hits a nice brainbuster onto his knee, as you would say, the patella drop brainbuster, for the win. I thought this was actually a pretty fun tag match. It moved really quickly, and I like that they're kind of... including guys like Shera and Fulton, but almost like, and Ba to a certain extent, but almost hiding them among some of the X Division more accomplished wrestlers, right? So I don't have to watch like Fulton and Shera carry a match. They're just a part of a match with guys I like. Or
like Shera versus Fallah Bahh.
Right, and that seems to be the formula lately, is to include them with the X Division guys, and I think it's kind of smart. Gia then wants to talk to Kenny Omega, but Don Callis comes out instead. He then gives Kenny Omega a quick little introduction, and Kenny eventually walks out. He acts all phony and nice and acts like he doesn't know who Gia is. Callis is happy since Omega has recovered from his match with Callahan, and the Good Brothers won their match earlier, and he says that nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh yeah, and then Dreamer obviously comes to interrupt, and he announces that his decision he's making for the number one contender will be a number one contenders battle royal for a shot at Kenny's Impact Championship. I assume that match is also at Homecoming, but I don't know for sure.
I don't think so. I saw
it's not. Maybe on TV then. Kenny and Don are obviously not happy about this. They would rather there's just no contender and Omega doesn't have to fight. But Dreamer walks away, and Callis says they'll go to the ring now that their good mood is ruined. So I guess we're getting a battle royal for the new contender. That's fine. Callis and Kenny did a good job here. So they're basically just hate any idea that makes work for Kenny, right? And their immature reactions are always kind of entertaining. I can't imagine the winner of the Battle Royal actually having a chance against Omega, but it creates a match, I guess, and a little bit of intrigue.
You're probably right.
So it's something. Another flashback segment, and this is where I said that's 4 writers on strike or something, but again, I figured it out later. That's a commercial break, and I'm just not very bright, so disregard that note. We then get another Drama King vignette where he's like destroying some of those typical drama masks and sort of the sign that he's painting on. So it looks like maybe he's shedding the WWE image or some variation of it. Apparently, it said
"Long live the Drama King," the first one.
Yeah, and now it's like he's smashing that image up. So it's Aiden English. I don't quite know what his role will be, but I thought this was a cool. There was no words to this; it was just silent, and I thought it was a cool enough little vignette to get some interest going.
Cool.
Juice Robinson is talking about their win backstage before Jay White and Chris Bay attack them and take them out with one of those rolling cases. Specifically, White takes out David Finlay with one. So he gets in Finlay's face now that he's down, tells them he can't hide from White and that he will never beat White again. I thought this was a good violent attack, but again, Bay was just presented as a loner for weeks now, right? And now he's basically a Jay White henchman and a Bullet Club wannabe. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, Callis and Kenny hit the ring now, and the crowd chants, "You got fired" to Don Callis. Callis basically sums up how great things have been going for him and his guys. Kenny defended, Good Brothers won the belts back, etc. He puts over Kenny, calling him better than Ric Flair, and now Impact wants to bleed every dime out of Omega, basically like you're overworking him, you know what I mean? Sami Callihan interrupts and demands his music is cut. He wants to speak. So he starts out pandering to the fans, basically saying, "I am a babyface now, people, just so you clearly understand," which is a bit weird for Sami Callihan. Right. But anyways, he starts insulting Callis and the group. He calls them a bunch of bitches, and the crowd starts chanting it loudly. Sami says he isn't done with them. He will win the Battle Royal, and Kenny will have another date with the Death Machine. But 2 weeks is a long time away, so he got a match approved for next week. Sami and 2 partners will face Omega and the Good Brothers. He warns Omega and the Good Brothers that he could strike anytime and hints at jumping the barricade right then. Callis starts to respond to this possible attack, but Frankie Kazarian magically appears, attacks Callis and the group from behind.
He is back in Impact.
Clears the ring, his music plays, and he heads up the ramp, and the crowd does sort of acknowledge that this is an Impact guy returning, so that was nice.
Right, he was there for a while, right? He was in the X Division, and he was Suicide at one point.
Right. Yeah, so then Dreamer's quickly backstage now with Sami and Kaz, tells them they'll need to get one more partner for next week. Kazarian says it needs to be Dreamer, no thank you, but Dreamer says someone better, and he whispers a name, but Sami says it will never happen. Dreamer says he'll get it done as the other 2 walk away. So I thought Don Callis was great here. The addition of Sami and Kazarian kept this from feeling like kind of more of the same by the Elite, or whatever you want to call them here. Sami's suddenly a full-on babyface, which is a bit surprising, and he's aligned with Kazarian kind of out of nowhere. And I hope the mystery partner is someone of note, right? Sami was awesome in that no DQ match, so Sami kind of won me over in that match with Omega, so I'm okay with him getting some more time at the top of the card here. I just hope the reveal of this partner is worthwhile. So then, interesting here, they've made Kimberly a little interesting to me. Su Yung is back.
Yes.
And basically all we see is her. And then I actually had to pay attention and realize that it is Kimberly. She's converted Kimberly into something similar to herself. So it's kind of this, we're now going with a Su Yung as Kimberly. So
like what? So Kimberly is Su Yung?
No, Su Young's back, but it looks like she's somehow transformed Kimberly as well into something.
So it's Su Yung and Kimberly Su Yung.
Right.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. I mean, all we do is see them there, right?
But like actual Su Yung is back?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like it.
Like
so Kimberly has kind of bored me. She's been at a certain level doing the same thing forever, so I'm really happy for them to try something. So I'm open to this for sure. Brian Myers needs a partner for Homecoming tournament, and he spoke to Raven, he says, who suggested Beulah McGillicuddy back from the ECW days. I don't know if everyone gets that reference.
I do understand that reference.
Beal says he has her number, but it's the joke is it's the old ECW like 90s pay to listen and find out news on ECW. So then Myers ends up FaceTiming Francine from ECW as well. She looked fantastic at least.
Dreamer was in a thing with Beulah. I think they were also together.
So Francine promotes her podcast and her stream, which was annoying, but she's mad about being Myers' second, third, or fourth choice. She's watching the show right now, and she also says that Myers is not in her league, and so that ends the call, and Myers, of course, turns and blames Sam Beal.
Why would you want someone old, too?
So I was just wondering, do people actually know who Francine is? I used to watch her back in the day. She looked fantastic here. So I thought this was an amusing segment with ties to past wrestling, right? That I don't know if everyone will get them, but I did, and I liked it. And I kind of like Myers and Beal together, so I thought this was fine. And Myers' search for a partner for that tournament continues, I guess. Willie Mack and Rich Swann face Violent by Design in a tag match, which is Rhino and Diener this time. So Violent by Design attack just before the bell rings. Swann and Mack double team Diener, who escapes to the floor only to be hit by a twisting leap off the top by Swann. And then, and this is where I clued in, right? Another flashback in the middle of the match? Is this because I'm watching on Twitch? Oh, it's commercial break, so that's what I figured it out.
Good for you.
Yeah, we come back and Young distracts Swann from the floor with the Violent by Design flag that now Young is bringing a like yellow and black flag to the ring and swinging it around.
Club did that.
And Diener capitalizes to put a Violent by Design in control for a bit. The heels isolate and dominate Rich Swann. We get a power slam by Diener. Mack finally tags in, dominates Diener, leading to a Samoan drop standing moonsault combo, which for a guy of his body type is always impressive. More shenanigans by Eric Young, leading to a Diener swinging neckbreaker, an assisted neckbreaker with help from Rhino, jumping cutter by Swann to Rhino for 2. We get a stunner by Mack to Rhino and a 450 from the second rope. Rich Swann picks up the pin as Mack holds off Diener, trying to break up the pin attempt. I thought this was a pretty good match, nothing amazing, and it's interesting because I felt they had finally built Violent by Design to be somewhat of a believable, dominant force, and now they're definitely losing, right?
They really lost their titles to the Good Brothers.
It sounds like they're just trying to build a Mack and Swann maybe into a title contender or something, but yeah, I thought this match was okay. We then get Swingers Palace. People want to know the odds on the Sabin Moose match. Matt Cardona comes in, wants to know the odds for the Homecoming tournament. He's told we don't even know who all the competitors are yet, so it's tough to have odds. Petey comes in his Steiner stuff to start a Steiner math promo again. Yeah. But Morrissey walks in and everything stops, including the background music. He gets right close to Alicia, tells her that after Homecoming, her husband won't be coming home safe ever again. Rachel Green then tells Cardona that she gets to pick the place for their next date because Swingers Palace obviously has sort of broken down here.
Rachel Green?
Yeah. Whatever.
Chelsea Green?
Sorry, Chelsea Green. I called her Rachel Green last week, too. Friends is seeping into the podcast. Sorry. Chelsea Green.
Or maybe Rachel Allern.
So, no. So, there's one thing I didn't go back and check out. There was a woman with Petey Williams. I don't know if it was Jordan Grace or not in the Scott Steiner gear.
Oh.
I couldn't quite tell. So anyways, he came with a woman and then started to cut a Steiner math promo again and got cut off.
Actually, I can probably answer that question.
So I thought this was pretty much a waste of time as the Swingers Palace segments are. It just felt like a segment for all the leftovers.
Yeah, it was.
It was?
In the finalized card, it says Williams and Grace are teaming together. In the Homecoming.
That makes sense.
Against Cardona and Green.
This is like all the leftover parts that they wanted to mention on the show but didn't have any plans for. The only thing I liked was that when Morrissey appeared, everybody stopped and the background music stopped. So that was kind of cool.
Big Cass is the man.
Otherwise, this didn't add very much. Gia then talks to Eddie Edwards about Morrissey just talking to Eddie's wife, Alicia, at Swingers Palace. Eddie says Morrissey cares for nobody and nobody cares for him. He reminds us that Morrissey cheated to win in their last match, so the next one will be no DQ, and Morrissey will find out why Eddie is Impact Wrestling. Dreamer shows up, asks Eddie to team with Sammy and Kazarian next week. Eddie mentions his history with Sammy, right? Because that'd be an odd pairing, as Sammy has tried to murder Eddie in the ring a couple times.
Actually, I like that feud. I remember.
But Dreamer talks him into it, and Eddie agrees because he trusts Dreamer. So they decided to end the mystery opponent here, and it's smart if it's just going to be Eddie Edwards, right? Because if you give people a week to speculate and build up a new arrival, they're going to be disappointed when it's just Eddie Edwards. No offense to him. So I kind of get them making the reveal here, and I thought the segment was fine. You can't just let people imagine all of these people arriving and then give them Eddie Edwards, right?
A guy they've seen a million times.
Especially because this is the age of people showing up from other federations, so you kind of
have to...
Not
like jumping ship, but just like the era of the Forbidden Door, I guess.
Yep. So we then have the main event, which is a return match, Moose versus Chris Sabin. It's a rematch of the recent pay-per-view match where Sabin, surprisingly to me and I think other people, beat Moose with a roll-up.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't these guys just have a match?
Yes, so this is Moose wanting some revenge. So we get a Mahi Straw cradle right away by Sabin for a near fall, just pretty much as soon as the bell rings. More near falls as Sabin basically spends the first part of this countering Moose's power moves into near pinfall attempts. Moose finally catches Sabin, swings him around into the steps that looked really good, looked super violent. Commentary struggled to explain at one point why the crowd is chanting for Moose, because they're definitely behind the heel Moose here.
Moose is cool.
A big drop kick by Moose. Commentary point out a good point. He jumps so high that he's like drop kicking on a downward angle to people to kick them in the head, which is pretty impressive. Then there's more of a methodical beatdown by Moose before Abil sends Sabin across the ring to the floor. Moose throws water in Sabin's face, kind of hooks his arms on the ropes and hits some huge chops to the chest before denying the fans one more time. They start chanting for one more, and Moose just refuses to give it to them. Moose gives Sabin the middle finger, but Sabin bites it and then fires up. He hits a running punt from the apron, a crossbody to the floor, a running enziguri for 2 by Sabin, and now Moose is getting angry. Kicks by Sabin, he goes up top for a tornado DDT after biting Moose's head and pushing him to the mat. Moose counters the cradle shock with fingers to the eye. He shoves Sabin into the corner, hits his finishing spear, pins Sabin clean. Moose throws Sabin out of the ring to celebrate, but Sabin comes back to continue the attack on Moose until security come, separate them, and this is sort of what ends the show. So it looks like maybe this isn't over. I thought this was a pretty good main event TV match. I assumed that Moose would win here. Sabin put up a good fight. I thought both of them looked really good, and it looks like maybe this will continue. So I don't know if I need it to continue, but I guess maybe they're 1-1 now, so somebody's got to get the decisive second victory, I guess. So overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode of Impact. In ring, the opener was fine. I just personally didn't think it did Bay any favors. Caleb Taylor Wilde was just a standard intergender TV match. I enjoyed the 8-man tag that was, I thought, fast-paced and fun. Mac and Swan and Violent by Design was good enough, and I liked the main event quite a bit, actually. I thought it was a good TV match. Segment-wise, D'Amore handing over the booking to Dreamer was fine, and that could be a fun battle royal. The Jay White, Chris Bay stuff is pretty interesting. Again, I wish it was someone other than Bay in that role. Fire and Flava laid the foundation for the breakup. Tasha entered the homecoming tournament with Ba. In what was a decent segment, we get the announcement of Alexander Torus match that I'm hyped for. Deanna's segment was good, and she apparently has accepted the invitation to the NWA Empower pay-per-view. And we saw a tiny bit of Su Yung and what looks like a new version of Kimber Lee that interests me so far. So this show had some good things, along with a surprise appearance by Frankie Kazarian. So I mostly enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a very solid B this week. Like a pretty good show from Impact, I thought.
Right. I actually have the card for the thing. If
for
you want
tonight?
Quick,
yeah, go ahead. What is it?
So for the homecoming tournament, we have Williams and Grace versus Cardona and Green.
Mm-hmm.
Hernandez and Alicia Edwards. You're going to love that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Deonna Purrazzo and a mystery partner. Crazy Steve and Rosemary versus Falaba and Tasha Steeles.
Right.
Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering versus Brian Myers and a mystery partner. And then obviously the semifinals and finals will be decided through those.
Right.
And then you have the X Division title, which is Alexander and Torus.
Yeah.
And then the Edwards-Morrissey hardcore match. So not a ton, mostly just the tournament.
Honestly, the team that intrigues me in the The homecoming would be Petey Williams, just because
yeah.
she's going to be the powerhouse, right? Like 100%. They can work that dynamic, but it's interesting that she will be the powerhouse and he'll be the speedy high flyer, and that's kind of cool.
Speedy Petey?
So that wraps up, I think, any other wrestling business, and we'll move into our final segment of the week, which is Jack updating us on some action figure news in Figuring It Out with Jack.
Yeah. This time I just got my birthday pickups because I got a bunch of stuff.
You did get a bunch of stuff.
So
your lovely, generous parents ordered you some stuff from Ringside
and
Collectibles.
Then I did what I do best,
and
which
then
is
some other
spend money.
generous family members gave you some money that you then went out and spent. So tell us, what did you receive?
And then I actually made that money back a bit.
And what did you buy? Okay, we don't need to get into that.
So from the order you guys got me, I got Elite 82 Chase Variant Keith Lee, which I got right here.
Because you have no Keith Lee, and I really like getting you guys you don't Lee. Have at all.
Yes, that is one of my favorite things.
Me too.
And so it's like it's a white and pink gear. It's nice.
Yep.
It's got a bit of a foot
issue, but
because I can never get a figure that's just normal.
Right.
But it's good. I like it. And then we got Elite 79 Io Shirai, which is pretty nice. It's
her entrance gear looks awesome.
Her takeover Toronto gear.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the when we were there.
With the fur-lined hood, patent leather jacket.
The neon green on the black. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Basic 116 Roderick Strong in the green War Games gear from
That was the lamest one you wanted, but we got it for you.
Mm-hmm. And then I also got the Chase Variant Elite 85 Aleister Black, which I also got right here from WrestleMania 35. And I want the Chase variant rather than the normal one because it's got the logo on the knee pad and the back of the tights.
Also crazy entrance
gear. Or the
gear.
trunks. Yeah, because like the normal one is just WrestleMania 36, which is just plain black.
Yeah, this was like the cloak with the horns on the
bumpy kick pad.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Which that cloak's actually inaccurate, but it comes with the normal one, so they have to include the same accessory.
Right.
And then I got like this accessory pack from the Legends of Lucha Libre line from Boss Fight Studios.
Right.
It's got like a light tube. It's got a cool table. I like the table.
Yeah, so just a little pack of weapons and extreme stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got a Lego Star Wars 501st Battle Pack, which if you don't know what that is, it's just like you get some clones and this one came with
some
a couple
Star Wars
droids.
in here.
It's just an army building set kind of. Like it's like a set where like it's just like not named figures, so you can just get as many as you want to.
Nice. Did you mention this guy? Was he one of them?
No.
Oh,
and then so the ones I got was the Elite 84 Angel Garza. He's got the removable pants.
Yes, he does.
Which is great because I don't have him.
So these now we've started. Jack likes to go out on part of his birthday routine as we hit a few Walmarts and Toys R Us in the area.
Usually it's malls, but I kind of wanted to do a little more low key, so we just did Walmart. And then I do plan to go to. We got this mall in around us called Vaughan Mills, and it's humongous. Instead of having a few normal sized floors, it's got one ridiculously sized floor.
Yeah,
it's got a chunky Toys R Us and like a store, so I like it. And then Markville Mall has a Toys R Us and a Walmart.
Yeah, so more figure hunts coming up.
So from the same Walmart, the first Walmart we went to, I got Angel Garza and Roman Reigns from Elite 84.
Which were two that were on. He has this list, and those were on it, and he found them at the first place.
The Tribal Chief Roman. He's got the head sculpt I have on. He has two heads. It's a man bun head sculpt, and it's the beard Roman. It's nice. And then from actually our Keswick Walmart, it was really surprising because our Keswick Walmart kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and like for the longest time, they've had like 7 of the SummerSlam Elite 77 AJ Styles and like Elite 80. It's just been a lot of the same stuff. But they actually had some Elite 84, so I was able to pick up Buddy Murphy and his Disciple gear. Jeff Hardy with the blue face paint, updated back tattoo, and updated Sheamus, which I actually did want because I don't have an Elite Sheamus.
Right.
So that's pretty nice.
A good haul.
Oh yeah, and that was kind of cool because I got 3 figures that are pretty nice, and there's not usually a lot at our Walmart, so that's pretty nice. And from EB Games at Upper Canada Mall, which is like probably the closest mall to us.
It is.
I got a Star Wars Black Series figure, which is like the Star Wars equivalent of Elites.
Right.
I guess. It's the Gaming Greats, which is it's from a video game. It's Cal Kestis.
Nice.
He's the main character in the Jedi Fallen Order game that came out
a
couple years ago. It's a really good game. He's got like a couple different lightsabers and just a bunch of stuff in the game. It's pretty nice. And I also got lucky from another Walmart. I found a Lego Star Wars summer set early because they're supposed to come out like at the beginning of August, I believe. So I found a Dual Mandalore set, which comes with I like the builds of it because it's from Clone Wars Season 7, and it's got a slightly different Darth Maul than the one I got, so
nice.
Yeah.
And that rounds it out?
And then there's a bit of a reveal. There's a Walmart exclusive AEW Unmatched, another LJN Cody revealed.
Yay.
It's red and white. So 1, it's a Cody, 2, it's an LJN, so I could not care less.
Somebody was who was it? Was telling a story as a kid. They had an LJN figure, wrestling figure, and they were in a pool, and one person threw it at the other, and it actually like hit the corner and ripped the liner and like wrecked the pool at that point. Those things were such a beast. I forget who was telling me that. Anyways, so that's it for figuring it out?
Yeah.
Nice. That's a cool little personalized update on his collection this week.
If we go to we'll probably do the mall trip next week, I will be sure to include that because I like getting stuff.
Right. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of episode 54. I don't know if there's any bonus episodes. I will probably watch Homecoming Impact, whether I'll talk about it or not.
I just want to check out the X Division match. Yeah. Anything else I watch is bonus.
So I might find time to talk about that. I'll definitely be back Monday to do my solo mission.
We're probably on our way to get our booster juice.
For Ring of Honor. I'll talk about that on Monday, so look for that. And then we'll definitely be back on Saturday for episode 55 of this show. So we appreciate any time you give us in your week to listen to us talk about wrestling.
And the Gmail is fnswrestling@gmail.com.
Right.
And Instagram, which is me, is fns_wrestling_podcast. Go like the thingy.
Subscribe,
or
tell somebody about us. Let somebody know, share it.
Comment, DM me, ask me something.
Send us some feedback. We'd love to hear from any of you.
Tell me a insulting your mama joke.
Sure, if that's what you are into.
Yes.
But anyways, I think that's going to be it. So we look forward to meeting up again next Saturday for episode 55. And until then, take care.